Well, Craig Overton, well batted and well bowled. I guess you'd have settled for this position at the start of the day. 103 needed with 6 wickets in hand.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, after the first day we felt like we were behind the game, and knowing as a Somerset siders, we know what we are. We're a fighting side, and we don't give up on games. And we showed that fight today. We're still in a good position. Well, we're in a position where we would have taken it definitely from the start of the day, and come again tomorrow. Hopefully, we can knock off these runs with not losing the 6 wickets.
How's the pitch playing? Is it 117 all-out pitch?
I don't think so, no. I think it's, if you hit the right areas, there's a little bit there, but I think if you're slightly off, you can score quickly, which showed this evening when Hildy and Ames were going. Just slightly off, you can score fluently. So if you hit the right areas for long enough, you can get the rewards, but if you're slightly off, yeah, you can go for runs quickly.
Somerset have been going at over 4 and over and chasing down this total. Was that deliberate policy to go out, or did it just happen like that?
Just happens, yeah. I think Hildy's one of those characters when he's in that mode. He scores very quickly, and Abe's can be a bit like that as well. So it wasn't a designated plan to go out and score quickly. It was just balls were there to hit, and they felt like that's what was needed, and they went about it like that.
You scored some very useful runs this morning. How difficult was it out there in that first session?
Yeah, it was up that first hour. They bowled really well. Obviously losing those 3-4 quick wickets, we were sort of up against it again. It was just with me and Nietzsche just trying to chip it away, just keep chipping away with the runs and get as close as we can to them. Obviously we probably weren't going to get near them, but we'll just get as close as we can and try and put a bit of pressure on with them when they had to come back again. And obviously it helped a little bit when we got we didn't really get early wickets, but when that spell with that Josh did, got us back into the game, and then we sort of went from there.
5 for up at Leicester last weekend, another 5 for here today. You're in the bowling form of your life.
Yeah, no, bowling nicely. To be fair, I felt like I bowled pretty well all year, and the first couple of games I didn't really get the rewards that I felt like I could have, and obviously last 2 games have gone really nicely, and hopefully it continues.
Is there confidence in the camp?
I think if we were still 2 down, there'll be a bit more confidence, that's for certain. But yeah, we've got a long batting line-up. We know we can all score runs and we can all add vital contributions. So yeah, we're confident going in tomorrow, and I'm sure they'll be as well.
Lovely, thanks very much.
Big first hour, isn't it, Craig, tomorrow?
Yeah, no, massive. It's always the case. Generally, the first hour of the day is always important, but yeah, tomorrow's even more important. If we can see that 1 down, maybe even none down, I think we'll be right on top of the game, and we can go from there.
And 8 wickets in the match for you, and it could have been more, couldn't it? You weren't very lucky in the first inning.
No, yeah, there was obviously plenty of player misses, and but that happens in cricket. You've got to keep working as a bowler, and the wickets aren't just going to be gifted to you. You have to keep running in, and I think this is probably the most bowlers overs I've bowled in a game ever. So you just got to keep going, and they're all good batters, so you've got to work hard for them. And
how did you get response out of this pitch? Did you have to bend your back a bit more, or what was the key to it?
I think first innings we felt like we bowled a little bit short. It's a bit tennis ball bouncy, the wickets, so a lot of them were going over the stumps, whereas today we tried to be a bit fuller and make them play forward defensive shots rather than sort of back foot defensive, and it seemed to work. So
just nibble a bit off the seam, didn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, not much, but just the odd one does a bit, and there's a few. It's not indents really. It's like with the grass, the seam's taking a bit of the grass off, and it's not indented the surface, but it's still just an odd one, just catches that sort of edge, and it just does a little bit. But the heavy roller seems to have flattened them out a little bit tonight, so hopefully, we don't have another heavy, but the light roller will hopefully flatten them out again in the morning, and we'll be alright.
Overton Pfeiffer has hosts hunting victory. Robbie White came agonisingly close to a maiden century as he helped Middlesex to 357 from their first innings. Somerset's chase wasn't off to the best of starts, 4 wickets falling for 178, the hosts trailing by 179. Late in the day, Bartlett and Goldsworthy had put together an important partnership and found a foothold, but it wouldn't be long before the pair was separated, the young Cornishman out nicking behind to one that straightened. Bartlett found his way to 50 after the loss of his partner, 107 balls taken to get there, but he'd given his side hope. He'd be out though without adding much to his total. His eyes lit up, but an attempted drive could only find the keeper. There were 200 runs on the board when Somerset lost another. Davis out driving, caught at backward point for 2 off Finn. Josh Davey also fell to Finn. 8 runs scored, but out when he found Helm around the corner. Jack Leach and Craig Overton held back the tide and took Somerset to 250. Their stand took the deficit below 100. The 9th wicket partnership was looking good for the hosts. But that's about all they could muster. Leach out to Finn for 16, the bowlers 5th. Jack Brooks, the first COVID sub in the LV County Championship, was in for Lewis Gregory, and out for just 1. Caught behind off the bowling of Murtagh, and the innings all over. Somerset all out for 268, trailing their visitors by 89 runs. Somerset have yet to really fire as a batting unit so far this season. Bartlett's knock of 50 was a rare glimmer of hope in their lineup, which once again crumbled under pressure. Finn had done most of the damage. He finished with 5 for 76. Middlesex added 11 unbeaten in the overs before lunch, their lead quickly back into triple figures. Somerset came back at their visitors after the break though. Robson out to Davey, the ball there to be hit, but Banton pulled off a stunning catch to remove the opener. They could have had Gubbins too, had Hildreth held on to a simple chance, but he survived to help Middlesex to 50. Overton though had Holden out, nicking through to the keeper. Hanscom followed, out for a duck, caught behind, the ball too tempting to leave. They had a second bite of the cherry, Gubbins again edging, a sigh of relief from Hildreth, the number 3 out to Davey, caught behind for 3. Davey was on fire, and he'd quickly taken yet another Middlesex wicket. Simpson this time caught in the slips for 7. He was relishing his opportunity with the new ball, with Gregory absent. Overton wanted a piece of the action. His full delivery was handed back to him by Anderson, let down by a leading edge. White couldn't replicate his first innings form. Overton had him out, LBW, and his next over, the innings rather falling apart for the travelling side. They'd reached the sanctuary of T at 85 for 7, the lead over Somerset 174. Helm didn't last long after T. The ball kept low and he was out, LBW to Overton. Overton then had Finn for his 5-fer. The bowler's pads wrapped and he had to trudge off for 1. Holman sent Davey soaring over the ropes after the departure of his partner, but it was a sign the innings was about to come to an end. That was left to Abel. Murtagh got nowhere near his delivery and had to go for a duck. Middlesex all out for 117. Somerset had dragged their way back into the game largely thanks to Overton and his 5-wicket haul. Holden was the top scorer for the visitors with 30, and the hosts needed 207 to win. But their success with the ball wouldn't necessarily translate when they strode out to the middle. Banton bowled first ball. Lammonby had to go too, LBW to Murtagh. But Hildreth and Abel held firm. They were the partnership Somerset had been craving, and they inched their way to 50, and then took the target below 150. The experienced campaigner had Middlesex's shoulders slumping, and he was playing his way towards a 50 of his own. But he'd be denied, catching practice for White in the slips, out for 43. Leach and Abel took the score into 3 figures, but the night watchman wasn't able to make his way to the end of the day. Finn had him caught at short leg to leave the score 104 for 3. The wicket was the last action, and Somerset were left needing 102 on the final day to win.
Welcome to the 4th and final day of this LV Insurance County Championship match between Somerset and Middlesex at the Cooper Associates County Ground, brought to you in association with our principal championship partner WPA Health Insurance. It's finally poised. It's incredibly tense. Somerset needing just 103 runs for victory, Middlesex needing 6 wickets. The game is on an absolute knife edge because of the performance of Somerset's bowlers yesterday. Ben Redwood, one of our interns for this summer, an incredible performance by the Somerset attack once again yesterday.
Yeah, but it was another incredible performance by the boys. Obviously they've done it for the last 2 years now, but yeah, brilliant. Well led by Craig obviously, but I thought Josh Davey really came to the fore yesterday and was fantastic. One of the best spells of bowling I've seen down here for a long time.
You mentioned Josh Davey there. Sometimes goes under the radar, but such a vital cog in the Somerset machine.
Yeah, absolutely. He was brilliant yesterday. He bowled, I've never seen him bowl with so much pace almost yesterday. He attacked the pitch. He was bowling bouncers. It was brilliant to see.
And Craig Overton once again, another 5-wicket haul. He's in the form of his career.
Yeah, absolutely. Another 5-wicket haul, leading wicket taker in the championship for all 18 counties, and yeah, brilliant to see.
and obviously backed up well by Tom Abel and Jack Brooks. Good to see Jack Brooks out there. Obviously, not a lot of time to warm up coming in for Lewis Gregory yesterday, but once again showing that the Somerset attack isn't just two-pronged.
Yeah, no, he's had a tough winter, obviously, with all the surgeries he had, and it was good to see him back out there yesterday. Bowled well. You can see he was a bit rusty, but he bowled well and he grew into the game, I feel like, as the day progressed.
Mentioning Lewis Gregory, obviously an update on that. The person that's in Lewis Gregory's bubble that was feeling unwell, their second test has proved to be negative, so Lewis will be available for the game against Hampshire next week, which is obviously great news. And now onto the Somerset batsmen. A job to do today. It's finally poised. People talk about county championship cricket. It's been an incredible game. It's just so unfortunate that there's no one here to enjoy it, because this place would have been absolutely rocking yesterday.
Yeah, it's supporters are greatly missed here today. But yeah, another great round of county championship. It's proving to be brilliant entertainment at the moment, and yeah.
103 runs, 6 wickets. Which way is it going to go? We're going to find out by watching our live stream, which will be brought to you with the commentary of Anthony Gibson and Kevin Hand.
A profligate 20 minutes from Middlesex, a quick 20 in that time for Somerset, and it's 80 to win with 6 wickets standing. All of a sudden you think, oh boy, Middlesex going to have to bowl well here and hold their chances. Likewise, 2 quick wickets this morning, and Somerset will think, 100 runs and only 4 wickets standing. So, just these opening exchanges here, I think, are going to give us a very, very good idea of where this is heading.
Well, yesterday morning Somerset started at 178 for 4, and their last 6 wickets added 90. So if the same thing happens today, it's going to be a very, very tense finish. We're going to have Stephen Finn to complete his over from last night. Jack Leach succumbing to the leg trap with the penultimate ball. So he's just got 1 ball, Stephen Finn. He's bowling to the new batsman, George Bartlett. He's in and bowls, and Bartlett defends solidly back up the pitch. And applause from the Middlesex close fielders. Yes, it's. I was thinking about this overnight, and I just could not make up my mind as to what I think is going to happen today. It really is balanced on a knife edge, this game. On the one hand, both sides will be looking back to what happened at Lord's, and yesterday's play had an uncanny resemblance to what happened at Lord's. Somerset coming back from the dead by bowling Middlesex out for not very many and leaving themselves a manageable target. But the loss of Hildreth with about 4 overs to go last night was quite a big blow. Craig Overton, when I talked to him, I said, how confident are you? He said, well, I am confident, but I'd be a lot more confident if it was 104 for 2 rather than 104 for 4.
Yeah.
And I think a couple of early wickets will put Middlesex right back in the driving seat, especially as Somerset are without Lewis Gregory.
Here's Murtagh with 2 slips in place, Abel on 43, he's right arm over and Abel defends, and pops down onto the crease, rolls backwards but away from off stump as Abel turns around to have a look. Tom Helm's warming up at mid-on, so Finn's probably done for now. I did say to him last night, when was the last 10-fer? And he said, I don't know, a long, long time ago. We were discussing Josh Davey again before the start, myself and Polly, the scorer here, and what a wonderful player he's becoming. And how his career, really blossoming. And the point that we started on yesterday, actually, that perhaps but for his Scotland career, maybe he would have been lost on the game. As here is Murtagh, bowls full, straight, giving it every chance to swing. Right up there, and Abel patiently pats back to the bowler, because he left Middlesex, and then there was that gap that we discussed at Lord's in between Middlesex and being picked up by Somerset, given a second chance in county cricket when it was only really Scotland keeping him going for a while. And
he was, and he wasn't a regular in the Somerset first team by any means.
No.
Really, until last season was his breakthrough season.
Murtagh to Abel, 2 big players in the finale of the game. Forward goes the right-handed Somerset captain, defends into the offside. And had it not been for Scotland, let's say he had no Scottish heritage, the Middlesex let him go, he probably would have had to have gone and got a real job.
Well, he didn't have any Scottish heritage. His father worked in the oil industry and happened to be based in Aberdeen when Josh arrived.
Oh right, so he is his own heritage as such.
He comes from Suffolk. He's a Suffolk boy.
Yeah, but he was born in Aberdeen.
He was born in Aberdeen. Yeah. So he is qualified for Scotland.
Mercer's in, bowls, and that's left alone outside of the off stump by Abel through to the keeper. But do you take my point there? Had it not been for that, he probably would have, when Middlesex let him go, he probably would have had to have gone and got a real job. And at that point, you'd suggest there was no way back. Which happens for so many, because again, cricket is a sport of late bloomers. It really is. Some wonderful players that Middlesex have had in recent times. Alan Richardson, Gareth Berg.
Yeah, you also get the ones who don't train on, though.
We've
had a few of those at Somerset over the years, you know, who looked $1 million at the age of 19 or 20 and just haven't progressed. More batsmen than bowlers, I think it'd be fair to say.
Abel waits, and he's beaten by Mercer. That was a beautiful ball. That was some lift in that as well, like the one that got Hildreth perhaps. That really did climb from Mercer. It's been a good pitch, really has been sporting for both the bowlers and the batsmen. There's been runs to be had when a batsman gets in, but there's been enough there for the bowlers to keep them interested throughout. And I did feel in that first innings that both sides could have bowled better, and Somerset bowled a lot better in the second innings, didn't they?
They did. They weren't. Well, Craig Edison said in the first innings he thought the conclusion that they'd come to was that they'd bowled too short.
Right. Mercer bowls, and onto the legs. This is clipped down to deep backward square leg, where Finn's going to charge up from long leg to collect, and they've taken two. The first runs of the morning, is it not? 106 for 4, and the runs required drops to 101. Abel's on to 45. Bartlett will have strike. That's the end of the first full over of the final day.
I mentioned Lewis Gregory. We do have news on Lewis Gregory. He's had the PCR test and it's come back negative, so he will be available for the game starting on Thursday against Hampshire at the Aegeus Bowl, but he won't be able to come back and take part in this game. So and Somerset will miss Lewis Gregory, potentially. I mean, Somerset supporters will be hoping that these two and Lewis Goldsworthy and Steve Davis can carry Somerset home without the all-rounders' contributions being needed. But if they are needed, then Lewis Gregory, who of course led Somerset to victory at Lord's, will be missed. Here's Helm in and bowls, and this is driven away nicely for 4 runs by George Bartlett. A nice juicy half volley from Tom Helm to start things off this morning. 110 for 4. The requirement for Somerset comes down below 100. It's 97 more. Just
97 more. It's big more, though, isn't it? I mean, what were they? Were they 6 down when they got it down to 90 into double figures at Lord's? I think they were, weren't they?
Something like that, yeah. And then Lewis Gregory took the game by the scruff of the neck. Yeah. But it's these middle order batsmen who've got to do the job now. Here comes Helm again to Bartlett. Ooh, and he's in difficulty against a ball that jags back into him from outside the off stump. A little bit of inside edge into his pad. May just have gone on the inside of his thigh, in fact. He's in a certain amount of discomfort. He's okay.
There's little room for error this morning, is there, for either, really. It was a lovely start. It felt a little bit ominous, actually, that from Bartlett. That was a lovely drive. It was up there, it was crisply struck, put away.
He likes that shot. Here's Helm again and bowls, and Bartlett lifts his bat out of the way of a good length ball that's lifting through to John Simpson. Plenty of bounce on this pitch for the, especially for the tall, quick bowlers. It was Jack Leach's undoing last night. Stephen Finn going round the wicket with a forward short leg and a leg slip, and bowling just short of a length, lifting it into Leach's body. It was exactly how they got him out in the first innings, and a carbon copy in the second. They've obviously worked out Jack Leach at Middlesex, but it was quite a big wicket then. As Helm is in and bowls to Bartlett, who defends and won't get a run because Jack Leach is a more than competent night watchman, and if he'd come in this morning and hung around even for half an hour, it might have helped blunt the initial Middlesex thrust. But he's gone, so it's up to George Bartlett and of course Tom Abel. Abel on 45, Bartlett on 4, Helm up past umpire Burns is there and bowls, and Bartlett seeming to have plenty of time there just to get in behind that and drop it out into the offside. Quite heavy clouds away to the west of us. Plenty of blue sky to the east. It's been rather that way throughout the game. And we've had a few interruptions, but let's hope we can get through
So
to the finish without any further breaks.
just to say, which I'll come back to in a moment, Overton fell the last ball before lunch on that final day, didn't he? Which meant they were 6 down going in at lunch.
Here's Hellman and bowls to Bartlett, who gets on top of the bounce, plays it down into the offside. Just the 4 runs from the first ball of that over. At the end of it, 110 for 1, 45 to Abel and 4 to Bartlett.
So with a target of 285, they were 187 for 6 at lunch as Overton fell. Caught Simpson, bowled Merter, and it felt in that moment as though, oh, that's going to have surely swung it. 6 down, 4 wickets left. There were 90... Oh, come on with the maths. 98 runs required after lunch with 4 wickets standing. It's 97 runs here with 6 standing. And 1 being a night watchman that's gone, but he's a very good night watchman, the man that's gone. Here's Merter to Abel on 45, and Merter bowls. This is push back up to mid-on, 110 for 4.
I think one difference is that this pitch is a lot livelier than the pitch was at Lord's, which really did sort of go to sleep towards the end of that game. The Middlesex bowlers weren't really getting anything out of it at all, whereas here there is still a bit of carry and a bit of bounce, a little bit of seam movement.
It'd be staggered if they did it without any great trouble, Somerset. It'd be absolutely staggered, wouldn't it? Because the edges have been in play all match long. Merter to Abel. He bowls, and Abel forward over the top of it, defends into the offside. It squirts away towards point. Gubbins collects.
Did you discover what it was that the umpires were talking to Gubbins about?
No, I'm going to have to ask at the I'm going to have to ask at the end of the match. So he was called back on, wasn't he, Nick Gubbins? When we were off air by that point, weren't we? Or were we?
No, you insisted on staying on.
Oh, we did, to say that it was, so we were on air, weren't we? Yeah, he was called back by the umpires yesterday evening. It seems they were given a fair talk to, and then after he was let go, Stuart Law awaited on the sidelines to speak to umpire Gould, whatever it was about. But we can't get close to people at the moment, can we? Even in the hotel I didn't see anyone last night. As Merter bowls, and this is left alone through to Abel, 110 for 4. Stephen Finn was the interviewee last night, and I didn't ask him actually I didn't even ask him off the record or after the interview. We'd waited a while for Stephen Finn. Most of them had left, and he was the last one to leave the dressing room. We were all a bit worried that he'd gone. So most of us were just going.
Craig Overton was very prompt. He was out within 10 minutes of the close of play to do his stuff.
I saw a glimpse of him as I came around the corner, and I thought it was Finn, and I came charging. I was like, oh no, it's Finn, and then I realised it wasn't. Here's Merter bowls, and this ball's nudged down to fine leg where Finn is charging, loses his hat as he goes, and he's saved a couple as Abel moves to 47 with 2. Tumbling stop by Simpson, who fell backwards away from the stumps as he collected the ball. Excellent work from him as ever. He's been faultless behind the stumps. There was one stray ball down the leg side from Finn, wasn't there, that Simpson wasn't able to get to, and we felt rather unfairly. Finn seemed to be giving Simpson a stare on it, but it was really jagged away. The gloves work has been pretty faultless in this match from Simpson as Merter bowls, and Abel's forward defending into the onside. No run.
Plenty of people sitting outside their retirement apartments away to our left, and a few in the communal area at the top as well, getting a grandstand view of this nail-biting couple of hours it's going to be for both sides. That's
the busiest it's been up there all 4 days. I guess everybody had a busy Saturday. It was a gentle Sunday on the balcony, a busy Saturday out yesterday. There weren't anywhere near so many yesterday up there. Merter bowls. Oh, that's going to be close. It's full, it's straight, and it's not out, says umpire Gould. Oh, that had a lot going for it because it was full, it was straight, but Abel, as we know, he does get a cross, doesn't he? So we'll get a look on the replay. I don't think we're going to get the perfect angle to definitively answer, but he must have just been outside the line of off in umpire Gould's opinion. And Abel survives on 47. That was a very good shout.
Heart in mouth time, that was.
Yeah. We've seen worse given.
Ooh, he wasn't outside off stump. I think it may just have been doing too much.
Well, he shapes it away from the right-hander, doesn't he, as well?
Don't know.
Unless that was the one that jags back in, but it was difficult to tell on that angle in the small screen that we've just seen in front of us. 112 for 4.
Here comes Helm to bowl to Bartlett. Bartlett shoulders arms, lets it go through. I thought he might go after that one, George Bartlett. It was quite short. Yeah, very close call that for Tom Abel.
I mean, we're not at the angle to judge it at all, but it had the feel about it that Middlesex really were convinced they had him, weren't they? I thought the finger was going to go up. Just on the appeal. You always get the inclination with an appeal.
Must have been a borderline decision.
Yeah.
Umpire's call, and the umpire called it not out. His Helm in a bowls to Bartlett, who drops that down to backward point, where Holden does the fielding.
We've got a lesser spotted third man in this game, haven't we? Robbie White got a lot of runs down to third man, didn't he, in the Middlesex first innings. Middlesex yesterday evening ended with a deep point and actually they didn't have a third man. I think at one point they did have a deep point and a third man, but deep square is back. He's deep backward square down there, isn't he, in long leg. Tim Mercer having a natter with somebody in Somerset colours.
Here's Helm, tall, strong. He's in bowls, and Bartlett again on the back foot, just half forward, playing in front of crease. Drops it down into the offside. Bartlett, who batted nicely in the Somerset first innings for 55. Off 114 deliveries. Nice stand between him and Lewis Goldsworthy, who will be the next man in, we assume, unless they decide to promote Stephen Davis. Here's Helm to Bartlett, full length on that occasion, but again Bartlett plays it late from the crease. Very watchful this morning is George Bartlett, just that one attacking shot when Helm floated up a nice juicy half volley with the first ball of his day. 112 for 4, 95 more needed for Somerset to do the double over Middlesex. It's a very big morning this for both sides, as Helm is in and bowls to Bartlett, who pulls that away out towards deep square leg, and that will go for 4 runs. That was rather a nice shot. Touch of the Michael Vaughan's about that, with 1 foot off the ground as he swivelled and pulled a short ball along the ground. 116 for 4.
That was an excellent shot, wasn't it? I was just going to venture the point before that delivery. We haven't really seen that kind of ball that's lifted with pace from Helm just yet, which had perhaps been quite noticeable for him throughout the match, and for me made him look the most threatening of the Middlesex bowlers throughout the game. Maybe he did just go a little bit shorter there to see if he could find that.
He's there again, bowls to Bartlett. This is full of leg from outside off stump, and Bartlett declines the opportunity to have a drive at it. End of the over, 116 for 4. At the end of it, another 91 Somerset need.
Yeah, I wonder whether he just got a little bit shorter to see if he could find that little bit of bounce and pace that really had been noticeable from him and from Overton at this end. Finn got a few to fizz through as well. But if that was the ploy, it was a brilliant response from Bartlett to, as you say, lift that front leg and whip it away into the onside. Cry of catch went up. It was in the air for a while, but it was well in front of the deep square. Here's Mercer with 2 slips. Bowls, and it's left alone by Abel, but a long way outside of the off stump, and Mercer doesn't get involved in the appeal. It was just the yelp from behind the stumps as it thumped off the pad.
He's the ideal bowler for this sort of circumstances, Tim Mercer, isn't he? He's not going to give the batsman anything.
No, it's been unusually expensive from him so far, but I don't think it will be this morning.
He's bowled much better this morning, though. He hasn't. I mean, Abel's managed to pick up 4 runs when he's just strayed a little bit onto leg stump, but that's been about it.
I wonder, did they get carried away, Middlesex, with with the wicket with the first ball of the innings. Did they just go a little bit too straight, a little bit too aggressive at Somerset rather than focusing on the line and lengths? That have served them better. Gubbins, no, it's not Gubbins, it's Anderson. He's had a problem with his boot, which had delayed matters momentarily, but it's fixed now with the help of Gunnar Gould. Here's Murtagh in, bowls, and Abel using his feet. He's forward and defends to mid-wickets. 116 for 4. Fine 47. These the two that set it up at Lords, and Gregory smashed it over the line for Somerset.
Well, James Hildreth played an important innings last evening when he took the initiative away from the Middlesex bowlers, counter-attacked. 43 from just 38 deliveries with 8 fours, taking full toll of anything a little bit loose, and there were a few 4 balls offered up.
Overton called it like us, actually, or was it, maybe it was Finn who said it, actually. He said they played it a bit like a one-day innings yesterday, and they played it very well. And you made the point, didn't you? If this was a 50-over chase, it'd be Somerset's game easily. Here's Murtagh in, bowls and beats the edge, standing up. Simpson had just had the helmet sent out to him, and he's gone up and kept Abel in his crease there. And I think this is a good move that they have to make. Murtagh's not particularly going to stray down the leg side, so it's just a matter if Simpson can hold on to a nick, basically, isn't it?
Yes, that's obviously the risk that you take, but he's got a pretty good pair of hands.
He does. He does. White's at slip, Robson's at second. Mercer's moving in as they crouch down. He bowls and forward goes Abel. Solid defence.
Big innings this for Tom Abel. He'll be desperate to carry his side, if not all the way home, then certainly most of the way home. Captain's innings required. He's yet to score a century this season. He's been going pretty well, though.
Murtagh, midway through his run up from the river end here at Taunton. He bowls and full straight, a little gentler in pace, that one. I think looking just to see if there was a bit of swing. But played with ease relatively by Abel into the onside. Nobody plays Murtagh with ease, really. A ponderance of many a fine batsman and bowler. Why can't you just get forward on the front foot to Murtagh at his pace and get bat on the ball? But it doesn't happen. It hasn't happened. Nobody seems to be able to do it. He still manages to extract everything he needs as he's in now. Bowls, and that one's edged. And now I think it was short of Robson. I don't think it carried. Robson low to his right, parries it, and indeed saves 4. If it had gone past him without getting some sort of hand on it or something, then I think that would have raced for 4. As it is, the man was able to get round, and obviously backward point got around and held them to a single, was it, in the end? Abel moves to 48.
Yeah, batsmen have changed ends for the first time this morning.
There was no great disappointment out there. I'm looking to see a replay now. I don't think it carried.
Found the edge though. So
he's beaten the inside edge for that LBW appeal, and he's taken the outside edge, but neither out for Murtagh. One short, we reckon, of second slip, and I mean, would a third slip have been that little bit further forward? I think it fell well short of him, was my instinct.
Not sure. Here's Helm to Abel outside the off stump. No shot from Abel. He's been in decent form, has Tom Abel, without quite finishing the job. 41 in the first innings, which gave him an aggregate of 284 runs so far in 7 innings this season. He was averaging 48.6 before this game, so it will come down a tick or two, but still averaging well over 40, and he's got 48 to his name.
Just grabbed the replay. It wouldn't have carried to a third slip, I don't think.
His Helm, 2 slips go down. Helm is in and bowls long way outside the off stump to Abel, and Simpson tumbles in front of second slip almost to take that. Not a particularly good delivery.
Massive day for you, Anthony, as well, isn't it? Line of Duty comes to an end tonight.
It does.
I have not begun. I've got the whole thing to look forward to.
I watched the penultimate episode last
night. Did you?
I did. On the iPlayer.
You're ready to go.
I can't say it was the best episode
Oh, don't tell me anything. I haven't seen any of it.
More acronyms than usual. It's Hellman and Bowles, and this is turned away for probably just a single. Out to is that Holman out there patrolling the boundary on the at deep mid wicket?
It is. Which one's going to be a more thrilling finale then, Line of Duty or this?
This. Yes, I've got far more palpitations about the outcome of this.
Yes, you're 7 seasons invested in Line of Duty, but you're a few decades invested
I haven't
in
watched
Somerset.
all of them. I've only watched. I've watched the first couple, and I've watched this last one, but not the ones in between. Here's Hellman and Bowles, and this is Bartlett goes after that. I thought he'd nick that. He just does sometimes. I mean, you could argue that he was justified in having a go at it because it was short of a length. But when you need, how many do they need now? 82 and 7, 89 to win, and you're 4 wickets down. Well, he would no doubt say that attack is the best form of defence, and he's just going to play his natural game. And Helm is bowling to him now, and this time he gets on top of the bounce and plays that down into the offside. 118 for 4. Somerset, they started at 104 for 4 this morning, so they've added 14 runs. 8 of those to George Bartlett. 2 handsome shots, in fact. Extra cover drive and short arm pull well in front of square. Can't really, well, Helm's got 2 leg side fielders on the boundary and a mid-on. Those are the only fielders on the onside, as Bartlett's looking for a single this time but won't get it as Holden fields smartly from backward point. Good news at the end of that over with Somerset on 118 for 4 is that the clouds just seem to be thinning, and away in the direction from which the weather is coming there is plenty of blue sky, so hopefully we won't get a shower from that particular batch of clouds. But it's not, the sun's not shining at the moment, although it's not as cold I fancy today as it has. Oh, it is. Oh, having said that, it's now started to rain. Famous last words, giver.
Well, there's a bit of cloud cover, isn't there, which should help someone like Mercer in particular. The seam off the surface has helped the likes of Overton and Helm. Mercer's in, Bowles, and that gets a leading edge all along the floor to mid-off. Looking to close the face, or closing the face indeed he did, to the onside. Bartlett looking to nudge a single. Yeah, so the overheads are there for Middlesex. Underfoot, it's been there for the seam bowlers throughout. Hasn't quite extracted that pace, or indeed bounce, that we've seen so far from Helm. Whether Mercer can get a little bit more help from up above with the swing now. It's quite fully filled in, but here's Mercer, he bowls, and this is played again off the back foot into the onside, and this time he does connect with the face of the bat, and it turns to Holman at square leg. Abel remains on 49.
Still plenty of cloud above the retirement apartments. We've just been out to peer around the corner of our commentary box window, and it's just a few spots of rain at the moment appearing on the concrete paving and the seats outside our box.
Mercer to Abel, bowls, and a beauty, goodness me, put it just full of a length on the off stump, and through it goes to the gloves of Simpson. That was a quick one as well, it felt like. From Mercer, well done Simpson standing up. Lovely, lovely line and length that was. From Mercer.
Well, the runs certainly aren't coming in a rush this morning. They're having to be eked out by these 2 Somerset batsmen.
Well, I said the first 20 minutes will give us a fair idea, but only 16 runs, no wickets, so it's not raced away for either, has it, in that time? It's been a tense 25 minutes so far as Mercer bowls. Big appeal for LBW's given him 118 for 5. Abel's gone for 49. Well, do you know, I thought their appeal was more convincing for the first one. Not given by umpire Gould, but on the second one, he's been given. And Mercer, right arm over, with Simpson standing up. 118 for 5 it is, and that's a huge wicket. Bartlett still there on 8. He saw it over the line after Abel set it up at Lords. Has Abel done enough, the skipper for Somerset, to steady this ship in the chase for his team here at Taunton?
Looked pretty good decision, that. Abel playing around his front pad, that was the problem. He was looking to turn it into the onside.
And credit John Simpson standing up. Keeps him in his crease, which will be a big part of it as well. So huge credit to the wicket-keeper on that LBW. I think they were both very good calls, weren't they? I think if we had the technology, I think both ways, Middlesex probably would have reviewed the first one, and just maybe, well, I think undoubtedly Abel would have reviewed that one just on the weight of his innings, the importance of his innings, to have half a chance that he may have been reprieved. And
I doubt it. I mean, at the very worst, it would have been umpire's call.
Yeah.
And the umpire having called it out, but it looked pretty plump to me on replay. And well, we can't really tell with the bowling from the river end.
No.
The batsman's facing away from us, and we're not directly behind the bowler's arm in any case. We're down at sort of fine leg to a bowler from the river end to a right-hander.
Actually, I've just seen a review of it now, a replay of it now. It did look pretty plumb, didn't it? Yeah. Jagging back in, I'd suggest from Mercer, that ball, well, at very worst, holding its line rather than swinging away, and it didn't hit as high up as I first thought.
What a moment for young Lewis Goldsworthy.
He's on strike, Simpson standing back, Mercer's in, bowls, and Goldsworthy is right behind this one, defending into the offside. And 89 more, 5 wickets standing, one of those down a night watchman, remember, but no Lewis Gregory. Unfortunately, removed from the match, the first COVID substitute. Jack Brooks, will he have a say with the bat at the end? He will be the number 11. Davey down at number 10 is going to be a very good number 10, and that's what in Overton now, such is down at number 9, isn't he? So with Davis at 8 with the night watchman, so that they do go a long way down. Mercer bowls, Goldsworthy gets an inside edge, it rolls down the pad and into the offside. 118 for 5, that's the end of the 31st over of this Somerset chase. Abel, LBW to Mercer for 49, and yeah, on the replay it did look a better. It did look plumb on the replay, didn't it? I have to say, on first instinct, I don't know whether it was because I didn't believe in Mercer and Simpson's appeal as much this time as I did the first time, which perhaps made me doubt it more, but 118 for 5 it is, and Abel's got a massive wicket, a third for Mercer, 3 for 36, and he's bowled very, very well this morning for Middlesex.
Right, here comes Helm for another over. He's bowling to George Bartlett. He's in bowls. Bartlett will pick up a single. They'll have to be quick. They are quick, and they get there comfortably enough as Stephen Finn does the fielding from mid-on. 119 for 5. It means that young Lewis Goldsworthy will be down at the business end. He batted very nicely indeed in the first innings for his 39 from 68 deliveries. But this is he's in the cauldron out there with a match to win, 20 years old, with an opportunity to make a name for himself. But his heart must be thumping in his chest. Proud Cornishman.
I can report that Lewis Gregory's not tuned into us, because he's here. I've just seen him on the screen.
Here's Helm then to Goldsworthy, who plays that well. It bounces on him. He's not the tallest, Goldsworthy, but he kept that down into the onside. He ought to give Jack Leach a lesson in how to play the short ball, aimed in at the body, because that was a model example of how to do so.
I did wonder, I mean, it was the first time we've had this situation, whether a substitute, you know, Brooks would come in temporarily and Gregory would retake his place if the test was negative, but I guess that would open up a whole can of worms if that was the way it was allowed to work.
Helm to Goldsworthy, and he won't pick up a run as he turns that into the onside, because there's a fielder at mid-wicket. 119 for 5, I'm afraid, if you're just joining us, and a Somerset listener. The 5th wicket being that of Tom Abel, who is guilty of just playing around his front pad, not playing straight to Tim Murtagh and being trapped in front of pretty much middle stump. As Helm is into Goldsworthy, who lets that go through to Simpson. He looks very composed, does Lewis Goldsworthy, as if he's been doing it all his life. I'm sure he isn't feeling very composed. This is a nerve-wracking situation for, well, followers of both sides, because a win here for either Somerset or Middlesex would put them right in the mix, and a loss would have the opposite impact on their chances of finishing in the first 2 in Group B. That is the target in this stage of the championship, and Goldsworthy will get a run here. He's off the mark as he turns that square of the wicket on the onside and trots through for a single. 120 for 5.
Yeah, I was thinking of weighing up now, trying indeed in my head to weigh up how devastating a defeat would be for either. Because if as this game does near its finale, we really won't be able to think about what it really means for the side that falls the wrong way in this one. For Middlesex, because their next 2 matches are Gloucestershire and Hampshire, and both at Lords, the top 2 in the group, I guess they shouldn't be too devastated by it, because it would still be in their own hands to some extent. But 2 defeats to Somerset already would certainly hurt.
Helm to Bartlett, and he will pick up a run. There's a half stop, and they'll come back for 2. They'll probably come back for 3. They do in the end, belatedly, and they'll get there comfortably enough despite the momentary hesitation. 3 runs to Bartlett. He moves on to 12. 123 for 5 at the end of the over, and George Bartlett will keep the strike.
Yeah, good runs. We talked about a quick 20 runs in 20 minutes this morning. They've registered, 19 in 35 minutes. So Middlesex have kept it tight. They've got 1 wicket. It just all feels in the balance still, as Somerset are 1, 2, 3 for 5.
Craig Overton is still to come.
Yes, and well, the other thing as well in the COVID substitution, DeLanger down the order now would be quite useful. Merchant DeLanger, who would have been the other option to be substituted in for Gregory. But they went for Brooks.
Perhaps he's not here. I don't know.
Mercer bowls, and using his feet, Bartlett gets forward and across, and Simpson asks, "Do you want me up?" The answer is yes. Helmet goes on, and Simpson will stand up to the stumps for Mercer once more. Try and bring that LBW right into play, as it was for Abel. The sun's broken through again, which will cheer Somerset. Don't want a cloudy day when you're facing Tim Mercer, the swing specialist. Mercer's in, bowls, and on the back foot, Bartlett defends into the onside. 1, 2, 3 for 5 in the 33rd over of the Somerset innings. This will be the 3rd ball of the 33rd over coming up. 87 remain of the match after this. I remember on the second morning just a little bit worried that when we lose 1 session of this match it might, rule out a victory. Yeah. But of course Middlesex is collapsed to 117 all out from 44 without loss. It means there's loads of time left in this game. Just 84 to win with 5 wickets standing Somerset. Forward goes Bartlett. What bat involved in that? Murtagh was very late on the appeal, so I'd suggest a fair bit of bats, because they went up behind the stumps and then Murtagh followed, or certainly something he saw. I didn't have him particularly enthused by the attempt. Yeah, Simpson was the one to go up first on it, but Murtagh followed. It didn't look convincing, the appeal, did it?
No, I think there may have been a bit of inside pitch.
Yeah. Murtagh to Bartlett. He bowls full straight. That's going to be very close. He's gone. He's missed a really full straight one, looking to drive Bartlett. And well, he looked like as though he was down completely the wrong line to that. 1, 2, 3 for 6. That looked the plummest of the lot today.
Not a good shot, was it? looking to whip him through mid-wicket, I think, and missing a straight one. Well, that's two very heavy blows that Somerset have sustained. Just watching the replay on drive, the whip through mid-wicket. It was a poor shot by George Bartlett.
He was playing completely down the wrong line, I think. I just wonder, is that the magic of Mercer, swinging it one way and then nipping it back the other? Did he befuddle Bartlett maybe with his that control that he has? Because it looked all wrong from Bartlett, didn't it? And that for the umpire looked all right.
Yeah, I wasn't at all surprised when the...
No, that was by far the most convincing of the lot so far from Middlesex. And the two heroes of Lords are gone. Abel not out overnight, joined first thing this morning by Bartlett after Leach falling yesterday evening. And what would be the last over. And Middlesex have two very, very big wickets. A lot still to do though, as Davis comes out at 8, the wicket keeper, to join Goldsworthy, the youngster. What a wonderful way this would be for Goldsworthy to get his career going.
It's a real baptism of fire for the young lad.
Oh, he was so cool in that first innings, and he's looked cool so far here, hasn't he? He's going to need that tempered approach.
Sun's coming out.
Yep.
Shining on Middlesex at the moment after those two early wickets. Just what Somerset didn't need. The two overnight batsmen both gone. Both LBW, both to Mercer, and both of them guilty of well, not playing straight to a bowler who's swinging it around a bit, as he always does. Right, see what Stephen Davis can do. He's got the obligatory gully.
Yeah. Fell to Finn in the first innings, didn't he? As here's Mercer, right arm over to Davis. The left-hander is up on his toes, defending the first ball, which was right up towards his chin from Mercer. Rare short ball from him.
Vastly experienced, of course, is Stephen Davis.
Two former Surrey boys up against each other in Davis and Mercer. Intelligent chaps, obviously. 1, 2, 3 for 6 Somerset, and Mercer bowls to Davis, and there's the tempter wide outside of the off stump. Davis has nothing to do with it at all. End of the over. 4 for 36 Mercer from 13. A fine economy. Turned around to him for 3. It was a rare expensive one to start up from him yesterday, but he's turned that around this morning. 2 maidens, and the wicket of Bartlett trapped LBW for 12, as plumb as you like that one was. And yeah, he made what was a big error in judgment. Whatever he was expecting from Mercer, he got something different. It's almost like playing a spinner at times for Mercer. The amount that the control that he has. It doesn't have to be big swing, but the fact that he can seam it back as well.
Goldsworthy is on strike to Helm. Helm is in and bowls, and Goldsworthy gets in behind a defensive shot. 123 for 6 now, Somerset, so they need another 84 runs with 4 wickets in hand. Still got Overton and Davey to come, and then Jack Brooks bringing up the rear, because Jack Leach, already gone, came in as night watchman last night out to the penultimate ball of the day, which turned out obviously to be the last one. Here's Helm striding in, bowls to Goldsworthy, gets another good ball and plays it from the crease defensively out into the offside. Picked up by the Middlesex captain, Peter Hanscom, under his brand new Middlesex cap. His dark locks protruding from underneath it.
What a first couple of games he's had as captain. It hasn't happened for him with the bat, but a victory in 2 days and half a session over the the London rivals last week.
Yeah. Here's Hellman and bowls to Goldsworthy. Again defends out into the offside, not being given anything by Tom Helm in this over. Somerset started 104 for 4 this morning, so they've added just 19 for losing 2 wickets in the first 40 minutes or so. Plenty of encouragement from the Middlesex fielders. To Helm, who's there now and bowls, full of length and half driven by Lewis Goldsworthy. Didn't go for a full-blooded drive. Biding his time, being watchful, picking up the pace of the pitch. He looks cool, calm and collected, does Lewis Goldsworthy, but this far and away the biggest challenge of his cricketing life. An innings, whatever happens, that I suspect he'll never forget. He will always remember coming in the second innings with Somerset needing 90 odd to win, and he turns this into the onside but won't get a run as it goes straight to mid-wicket. 123 for 6. Tense here.
It is.
At the Cooper Associates County Ground.
With 84 runs and somebody who can score as quickly and as well as Overton does, Davies very capable with the bat. For Brooks at 11, so you know, the 9 and 10 will still have real hope. One cameo can take a good chunk out of 84, can't it? So
I do wish we had Lewis Gregg to come in. Here's Helm. That's driven nicely by Goldsworthy. I don't think it'll go for 4 because Hanscom will pull it in about 15 yards short of the boundary and they'll come back for 2 runs. 125 for 6. Somerset, but a very pleasant off drive from Lewis Goldsworthy. Didn't try and hit it too hard and picks up 2 runs, takes it on to 3 and reduces the target to 82.
There's no science to any of this, but if one batsman were able to get 30 of this 82, you just think, well, can the others get another 50 between the other 5 wickets that'll be out there, or maybe out there? It's really, really on a knife edge now, this one. Middlesex are perhaps that touch closer, 2 deliveries and they'll feel that they're nearly over the line.
Yeah, Middlesex would be favourites at the moment.
Mercer to Davis. 2 slips in a gully, crouch down. Mercer's right arm over and the left-hander's forward. Turning into the onside, Mercer has his hand on his face, feeling that that was turned square of the wicket from a very straight line by Davis.
Exactly. I don't know why the Somerset batsmen feel the need to do that.
Mm-hmm. Davis still on naught. Perhaps was just looking for that single to get him off the mark and get him off a duck. 125 for 6. Mercer's past umpire Gould. Glorious sunshine. He bowls and Davis drives into, or attempts to drive into the offside. It deflects up to mid-on. That was a little loose from Davis.
It was.
Or it felt loose, certainly, didn't it?
He didn't do much in the first innings, Stephen Davis. In fact, I think he made 2. I was going to say he got a duck, but he made 2. But he's been in reasonable form. He's averaging 36 before this game. That would have come back.
Mata bowls. Length ball, and Davis pushes at it outside the off stump, and he will get off the mark in front of backward points. Again, that felt loose, but he's got 2 for it. And it was the tempter again from Mercer, just hanging it out there. And on the back foot, Davis, I think that was where perhaps he was a little bit more happy to play at it on the back foot and got it away in front of Holden diving to his left at backward point. I think the tempter, he wanted it to be up there on the front foot, really, getting him driving, didn't he? But equally was conscious not to allow it to be a half volley. It allowed Davis to get back.
I think Davis has got a bit of counter-attack in his mind. Take a leaf out of the Hildreth playbook. 80
more required. Mercer bowls to him, and Davis drives up to mid-off, and it's stopped by Hanscom. No run.
Lovely shot.
Yep.
For no run.
Yeah. there's chatter out there, but it almost feels like nervous chatter from Middlesex as well. It's not the usual confidence, chirpy chatter. It's more, come on, let's do it.
Ooh, they're taking the gully out.
Moving to mid-wicket, which is interesting.
They've still got a backward point, though.
Yeah, Holden's inquiring, do you want me finer? No, he stays where he is at backward point, so he walks in as Mercer bowls, and forward goes Davis, pushing to cover, and Gubbins, they run.
Delighted to be able to say that we've been joined by listeners to BBC 5 Live Sports Extra. Welcome to the Cooper Associates County Ground at Taunton, where it is very tense. The game still poised on a knife edge. 127 for 6 are Somerset, needing another 80 runs to beat Middlesex. They've lost the wickets of both of their overnight batsmen, Tom Abel, LBW to Mercer for 49.
That's his right arm over from the river end. He bowls, and forward goes Davis, the left-hander, pushing back to Mercer, and that's the end of the over. 35 gone, 127 for 6, 80 more required here for Somerset. Mercer 4 for 38. Middlesex is leading wicket taker in the match now with 7. How often do you say that, though?
And Bartlett, who went LBW for 12. So 2 wickets for Tim Mercer, who now has 4 for 38.
The heroes of chase at Lords are gone. In fact, all of the heroes of the chase at Lords are gone, because the other one was Gregory, and he's out of the match as a COVID sub after a member of his bubble showed symptoms. And
it was his girlfriend.
Was it his girlfriend? Has that been confirmed?
Yeah.
And delighted to report that she's had 2 tests that have come back negative, but Brooks is in as the COVID sub.
Lewis has tested negative as well, so he will be available for the game against Hampshire starting on Thursday. Here we've got Tom Helm bowling to young Lewis Goldsworthy, just 20 years old, from Cornwall, born in Truro, played his cricket for Camborne and Troon and St Just down in Cornwall, came up through the Somerset Academy, made a very accomplished 39 in the first innings, but is facing the challenge of his cricketing life here this morning, with the Middlesex quick bowlers rampant, and Somerset desperate to sustain their challenge in this season's county championship, as Goldsworthy plays that out into the offside, desperate to complete the double over Middlesex after a day yesterday which was remarkably similar to the third day up at Lords, when Middlesex seemed to have had the game firmly in their grasp yesterday after taking a first innings lead of 89, only to be bowled out for 117, leaving Somerset with this target of 207. And yesterday evening, when Abel and Hildreth were together, it looks as if Somerset might get there quite comfortably. Different story this morning. Helm is in bowls to Goldsworthy, who plays that comfortably out into the covers. Another good ball from Helm, who I think Kevin Hind is bowling well within himself, rather than striving for extra pace.
I mean, they've added, 25 runs in 50 minutes for the loss of 2 wickets, 2 huge wickets, as you've mentioned. I think the key is coming now, or the crunch is coming now, because Mercer and Helm will be coming to the end of the spell, and Helm just rubbing a bit of sweat away from his brow a moment ago. He too will be tiring, much as Mercer will.
It's Helm to Goldsworthy. Goldsworthy defends. I'm Anthony Gibson from BBC Radio Somerset, and with me is Kevin Hand from BBC Radio London. We're broadcasting to you on BBC 5 Live Sports Extra and on the BBC Sport website, BBC Sport app. And a very tense morning it is. Incredibly.
They've really done it to us over the years, these two, haven't they, Anthony? They're doing it again here. We wouldn't quite be down and out for either of them, we don't fancy, if they were to lose, but a win would mean a lot, wouldn't it?
It would. Here's Helm then to Goldsworthy, in and bowls, and Goldsworthy cuts away through the offside. Lovely shot, 4 runs, thank you very much. Short and wide from Helm, and pounced on by young Lewis Goldsworthy. He moves to 7, and the score goes on to 131 for 6.
It's not quite happened for Helm in this innings. He's going an economy of nearly 5 now. Hildreth had Done a fair bit of that damage to his economy yesterday evening, but he opened up with a 4-ball this morning to Bartlett, who'd crunched him through the covers with a lovely shot. 76 more required.
He fairly cracked that away, did Lewis.
It was lovely. Lovely, wasn't it?
Here's Helm. Again, last ball of the over. He's in and bowls to Goldsworthy, who's up on his toes, defending out into the offside. End of that over. Helm has figures of 12 overs, 1 maiden, none for 52. So as you're saying, Kevin, he's not quite been at his best. The Middlesex destroyer has been Tim Murtagh, 4 for 38. Stephen Finn, 1 for 26. That was Jack Leach, who he bounced out last evening, and Martin Anderson got the wicket, the important wicket, potentially vital wicket of James Hildreth. He's just bowled the 4 overs for 11 runs.
I think the key in this innings is the second oldest swinger in town, Tim Murtagh, has come to the party. There's a bit of cloud, or there has been a bit of cloud cover this morning, whether that's just helped him. Simpson, standing up to the stumps, has helped him massively. The wicket-keeper has done a fine job, this Somerset batsman trying to get out of their crease, but Simpson standing up, and those 2 LBWs aided by the keeper with the helmet on. As here's Murtagh, right arm over, and forward goes Davis. Lovely line and length through Murtagh, but Davis controlled and calm over the top of it. Plays it defensively to Hanscom, the Middlesex captain. 3 innings with the bat, 2 ducks and a 17 for him, but what a first 2 games. The victory at Lords over Surrey in 2 days and an hour really of that third day. It was a stunning collapse by Surrey, 7 for 25 that set up Middlesex, but their collapse here, they were 44 without loss in their second innings, 117 all out. Extraordinary demise for them as Murtagh comes in, bowls again nicely on that off-stump line and driving this time Davis, but watchfully so to Hanscom at mid-off once more. The collapse at Lords that Anthony was referring to, when Middlesex were effectively 230 for 2 in their second innings. They were 56 for 8, that collapse that allowed Somerset back into the game, but even then we didn't fancy Somerset had much of a chance of chasing 285, but 84 from Abel and an unbeaten 76 from Bartlett and unbeaten 62 from Gregory. Those are the 3 heroes that we were referring to a moment ago. As Murtagh comes in, bowls, and Davis is forward. Again, a very good line and length from Murtagh. This may well be his last over. 55 minutes we've been going here, and that would usually be, well, it's exceeded what he'd usually go, I'd reckon, in the morning. Now, Martin Anderson bowled well yesterday, much tighter performance from him. His first 2 overs in the match indeed went for 19, the 4th seamer for Middlesex, but he came back very well in the first innings, and likewise yesterday evening Stephen Finn credited his tightness from the river end in replacing Murtagh. Finn, who was when he picked up Leach last night, he was Middlesex's leading wicket taker in the match with 6, but Murtagh's gone past him with the 2 he's grabbed this morning. He's around the wicket now to Davis, who is forward defending into the onside, and there's no run, and Simpson's asking, should I stand up? No is the answer from Murtagh. Stay where you are, as Murtagh's coming around the wicket now. Perhaps just 2 balls left for Murtagh for now, and then he'll be given a rest for Anderson to have a go. But yeah, his 2 wickets have overtaken Finn, and the point that I was going to make on Finn, he picked up 5 for 77 in the first innings, his first 5 for in a couple of years, mainly due because he didn't play, he wasn't selected, he was fit and available and in the squads last year in the Bob Willis Trophy, but didn't play a single first-class game. As Murtagh's in, bowls a very wide one outside of the off-stump, and hoping for a tempter for Davis, but nothing doing. Umpire Gould's just checking where Tim Murtagh's follow-through is taking him now. He's around the wickets, and just has a quiet word with him. Be careful there, please. Comes and pats away at the surface. He's been very active in this match, Umpire Gould, hasn't he? He's always been the character.
Yeah.
Very much part of the game, in a good way. It's not that it's... we were a bit bemused, weren't we, one evening when it was glorious sunshine out there and the covers didn't come off. The umpires apparently thought that it was going to rain, as here's Murtagh, he bowls, and this ball's turned off his hip by Davis for a single backward of square. Where scurrying around is young Luke Holman, the wrist spinner, who I doubt we'll see this morning, unless Middlesex really down to their last throw of the dice. The youngster in his second first-class match. 132 for 6. That's the end of the 37th over of the chase here on 5 Live Sports Extra and BBC Radio Somerset and BBC Radio London. And Somerset looking to do the double over Middlesex after a dramatic turnaround at Lords, and well, it's been nearly as dramatic here. They were far from down and out here as it felt as though they were at Lords, but they were a long way behind here as well. But 75 more to win, 4 wickets standing, 1 of the 6 down. We must remind ourselves as a night watchman as well. So Overton and Davey, the 9 and 10, pretty useful before Brooks, the COVID substitute for Gregory, comes in at 11. I'm Kevin Hand, and alongside me is Anthony Gibson.
I was going to say that it was a pretty dramatic turnaround here, because at 44 without loss yesterday afternoon, on top of that 89, Middlesex were effectively 133.
It was just getting there at that point, wasn't it? 44 without loss, it was like, oh, this wasn't foreseen.
And then they lost their 10 wickets for 73 runs.
Yeah. Stephen Finn replacing Helm.
Going round the wicket to the left-handed Davis from this Marcus Trescothick pavilion end, and Davis just defends out into the offside. Still got the 2 slips, 3 men saving 1 on the offside backward point, cover point, and Middlesex captain Peter Hanscom at mid-off. We've got a mid-on, a square leg, and 2 men out at third man and long leg. So, a fairly neutral field as Finn is in and bowls to Davis, who plays that firmly into the offside.
Polly, the Somerset scorer, was just musing before the start. That 5 for Overton has sent him to the top of the wicket-taking charts in the country.
He's the best bowler in the country.
Average of 14 this year.
By miles,
Well, he's been the best.
Steve Kirby.
He's been the best bowler in this match, hasn't he?
Oh yeah.
Of the seamers, the wily old Mercer has played his part now in this innings.
Here comes Finn to bowl to Davis. He's in and bowls, and Davis whips that away into the onside. There'd be 2 runs here as he turned his wrists on that. They won't think of coming back for a third as the throw comes in. Yeah, I was saying Simon Wilde wrote a piece in the Sunday Times this morning about potential England quick bowlers, and Craig Overton gets a mention in that, and Jason Kerr, the Somerset head coach, is quoted as saying that he's bowling much better now, Craig Overton, than he did when he was last in the England setup. As Finn is in and bowls to Davis, who lets that go through to Simpson. And the other point that Jason made was that Craig Overton is one of those bowlers who gets better and better the more he bowls.
Yeah, well, we saw it in this match, didn't we?
And he's not one of those that benefits from being rotated. And he bowled, I think Craig has bowled more overs in this match than in any other he's played for Somerset, certainly in recent times. Here's Finn in and bowls to Davis, who's looking again to tuck that away into the onside, but doesn't time it.
The greater the fire in his belly in this match, the greater his performance, I felt. As soon as something's irked him, and there's been a good number of chop catches, haven't there, of which he's been guilty himself, indeed. But whenever he's been fired up by anything in this game, boy oh boy, the batsmen have been put to the sword by the big, fast, fiery bowler that he is. And he and Helm, the main 2 strike bowlers in this game. Finn, not so much the strike bowler of old anymore. Middlesex wants him to be a metronome, and that's going to be crucial in this spell for him.
Square leg is going back to a deep square leg as Finn is in and bowls to Davis, but just a perfectly conventional good length ball on the off stump, which is met with a perfectly conventional defensive shot by Stephen Davis. End of that over, 134 for 6. Craig Overton bowled 28 overs in the Middlesex first innings, 19 overs in the second, so 47 in total, which is a pretty good stint. But he looked as good in bowling the last of those overs, as fit and as firing as he had done in bowling the first of them. He's in tremendous form. I asked him after the game at Leicester last weekend if he took 5 for 25 in 18 overs with 10 maidens on a flat pitch. I asked him if that was the best he'd ever bowled, and he said yes, it was. And that's the sort of form he's in at the moment.
Mercer has another one in him. He's coming in at a good sprint as well from the river end, and he bowls full and straight, and Goldsworthy defends into the offside. I think Middlesex recognise the importance of Mercer's accuracy, his tight line, tight length, his economy, and a fine strike rate, of course, as well.
Do you think they might also be a bit worried about
Anderson?
Anderson.
Indeed, yeah.
Just
Well, with
finding
Youth,
the odd bad ball.
Yeah, exactly. With Youth, you don't know what you get. They were delighted with him last night. Stephen Finn paid huge credit to him yesterday evening. Said Anderson played a really big role yesterday evening, tightening things up for Middlesex. As Mercer comes in, bowls onto the hip of Goldsworthy, turns to square leg. Holman fields. 134 for 6. So yeah, he's still at the stage, Anderson, where you don't quite know what you're going to get. So hasn't had his best season for Middlesex so far. The coach thinks the world of Martin Anderson, and young Robbie White as well, who is the top scorer in this match with 92 still, and he still will be. There's not enough runs to play with for anybody to go past him now. It'll be pretty rough for him to fall in for the second time in his career in the 90s. Yet to get that maiden ton. Deputy for Simpson for so many years. He's now in the side as a recognised batsman. Here's Murtry bowls and Goldsworthy defends into the onside. It's fielded at mid-wicket. 134 for 6. The tension here is incredible. It wouldn't be terminal for either of these in this group. Far from it, because this group's opening up with Hampshire losing to Surrey and Gloucestershire having a difficult one at the moment against Leicestershire. We'll give you the scores from elsewhere in just a second, but yeah, this group's opening up, and Middlesex's next 2 games are against the current top 2, Gloucestershire and Hampshire, and both of them are at Lords. Somerset next up have Hampshire themselves at the Ageas Bowl, so plenty to play for, come what may, for both of these sides after today, as Mercer comes in, bowls, and this ball's turned to square leg. 134 for 6. But as much as we're saying that we don't feel a defeat would be terminal, we do feel that a victory for either would mean quite a lot.
It would mean a huge amount. Yeah, Leicester 201 for 9 against the Gloucesters, so, and they've declared. So Gloucester will need 348 runs to win, which is a pretty long shot, I would have thought, on that Bristol wicket.
And an hour before lunch to have a go at them. Mercer passes Goldsworthy and bowls past the edge of the bat. Lovely ball. Goldsworthy on 7, beaten on the forward defence. 134 for 6. They're just getting a bit more chippy out there, aren't they? Sports Extra listeners have just left us, and I think as they joined us, my comment was you could hear that they're a little bit nervous in their chatter in the field, Middlesex. They're a bit more chirpy now. They've just tied things down a bit, Middlesex, haven't they? As Mercer bowls, and forward goes Goldsworthy, looking to drive very much the inside of the bat. Seeing the ball deflect to mid-wicket when he was looking more straight of mid-off. 134 for 6. Davis will have strike on 5. Goldsworthy has 7, 39 bowled, 4 for 39 Mercer from 16. How many more has he got in him this morning?
Well, we've had 15 overs this morning, and just 30 runs have been added in those 15 overs, so Middlesex bowling really tightly.
Yeah, they've done,
not giving anything away.
They've done absolutely everything they could do this morning, Middlesex, haven't they? Absolutely everything they could do, but it's the change bowlers now. Finn bowled a tight first over there. How will Anderson go when he does get his chance? I haven't seen him warming up yet, have you? I haven't noticed in the field, Anderson stretching out his arms. Where is he? Is that him down at long leg now, though, which might suggest it's the change coming in? The hand sanitizer by the subfielder has been, or the 12th man, I think it's Tilan Wallaluita, has been run all the way to the far side, the river stand, which is a long way away from the square down there.
We've got Stephen Finn bowling to Stephen Davis, and Davis gets a good length ball on middle and leg stump, which he plays out into the onside. I'm glad to be able to say that the clouds are just lifting a touch. There's a big grey one drifting across the ground in front of us at the moment, but the sun is almost fully out, and there's plenty of blue sky away to, certainly to the northwest. As Finn is in and bowls to Davis, defends up to Hanscom at mid-off. The forecast suggests we ain't going to get any rain, but you know, there are these showers around, and they can be heavy and thundery. So we hope that we'll miss anything like that, and this game will come to its conclusion one way or t'other. Middlesex would be favourites at the moment. Somerset need a partnership. Is Finn to Davis, who again gets a good straight ball from Stephen Finn, who's bowling well within himself. It's not the Stephen Finn of old. He can still get it through pretty quickly and still commands obviously pretty steep bounce. But he's concentrating on what the coaches call areas at the moment, getting it in the right areas and hoping either that the batsman makes a mistake or something unexpected happens with the pitch. He's there and bowls to Davis, who goes for an expansive offside shot. Doesn't time it at all, comes off the bottom of the bat, back up the pitch. Finn picks it up. It's hard going this for Somerset batsman. Craig Overton, next man in. He won't want to be tied down. Batted very well yesterday, made 38 not out. Fine all-round cricketer, as well as being one of the best quick bowlers in the country. This is driven by Davis away through the offside, and that will run away for... It won't go for 4. It's a good stop out there by... Is that...
It's a combination of Gubbins and Holden.
I was going to say Gubbins and Holden kept them down to 2 runs, saved their side 2 important runs. All of the runs this morning are important. 136 for 6. Nice shot from Stephen Davis. Didn't go after it too hard.
They've managed to dry up the boundaries, Middlesex, haven't they? And that's hugely to their credit, because that was something they couldn't do yesterday evening. Hildreth going after them.
Is Finn to Davis, he's there in bowls, and this is turned away into the onside just for a single, because there's a man out at Holman out at deep square leg. Sends in the return. 137 for 6 at the end of the over, so exactly 70 more needed by Somerset with 4 wickets in hand.
You asked me an hour and 10 minutes ago where my money was. Where's yours, Anthony, now?
Oh, Middlesex, I think.
It's tight though, isn't it? It really is. It's so tight.
I think a lot will depend on Craig Overton.
Yeah, and not to put the pressure on his shoulders, but a lot may depend on this spell from Anderson. Finn started nicely, hasn't he? His economy is something that he's been asked to work on. He's told me, the coach has told me. They get that economy down to 2.5. Because he isn't the strike bowler of old, but then he's got 7 in this match, and down at the Aegeus he took 6 in the match. He's only played 2 games and has picked up 13 wickets, so he's done pretty well on his return to first-class cricket for Middlesex. But they do want his economy to be a little bit tighter, and in this spell so far it has been. How will Anderson go? 1 for 11 from 4. He's right arm around the wicket, bowling to Davis, who bumps the ball down to mid-off. Kicks up immediately off the ground, but then settles and rolls to the feet of Hanscom. 137 for 8. John Simpson was the voice you could hear there. Hanscom looks like quite a quiet skipper, doesn't he? Up at mid-off.
Yeah, undemonstrative.
I made the comment last night, and it remains, I think, this morning, that it is really down to the bowlers now. There's not much that the captain can do at this stage to affect things, as Anderson bowls and forward goes Davis, drive into mid-off, and there's no run. It was always going to be close to an hour of Murtagh. It was more than an hour in the end, an hour and 5 minutes of Murtagh. It was always going to be a long spell from Helm, as long as he wasn't going too expensively through it. And then it was always going to be Finn and Anderson to replace them at the ends. They have been, so the stage was always set. Hanscom can only hope. As captain, as here's Anderson bowls, and his ball's worked to deep square for a single. Davis moves to 9, 138 for 6. And bowlers don't like captains in their ears either, do they? If, bearing in mind that he's a captain at mid-off rather than a captain in the slips.
He's very much hands-off, though, isn't he?
Well, Hanscom.
Yeah.
Hands-off Hanscom.
Hands-off Hanscom. But he stands quite a lot, mid-off.
It does, but I think that's the right thing, because, having spoken to bowlers over the years, they cannot bear captains that are in their ear all the time. And just as we say all this, he's come to have a natter with Anderson. But I think they prefer their captains in the slips, a long way away from them, bowlers. Let them have clear thoughts at the top of their run-ups. Anderson's right arm over now to Goldsworthy, and that's a good leave outside of the off-stump. Nice first ball to the right-hander from Anderson.
Tom Abel captained Somerset either from sort of extra cover, or from the slips.
Yep.
And and he is very hands-on, certainly in terms of vocal encouragement.
Yes, yeah.
But Somerset do tend to bowl to a bit of a formula. I think it's pretty much predetermined.
In comes Anderson, and it looked as though Goldsworthy was going to be late getting the bat down on that one, and playing from in the crease on a relatively full delivery as well, but skirts away off the bat to cover. Yeah, Hanscom, hands behind his back, pondering really, more than anything. At a wide, very wide indeed mid-off at the moment. They're encouraging that drive, and that, I guess, was what perhaps that little natter was with Anderson there. I'm going to stand at a very wide mid-off, so be aware.
Got deep point in for Goldsworthy.
Anderson bowls, it's right up there, and it's driven to, where it squirts really off the toe end of the bat to Hanscom at that very wide mid-off. He's as wide as he possibly could be and still be a mid-off, isn't he? So there's quite a space between he and the bowler, or he and the umpire at that end. 1:38 for 6 here on BBC Radio Somerset and BBC Radio London. Goldsworthy 7, Davis will have strike on 9. 69 more needed with 4 wickets standing for Somerset. I'm Kevin Hand alongside Anthony Gibson.
Gloucester's 7 without loss, so they need another 341, which sounds fairly unlikely. Looks like it's going to be a draw between Essex and Worcestershire. Lancashire need 93 to win to beat Sussex, as this is Finn bowling to Davis on a defensive shot. 160 for 4. That would be a good win for Lancashire, and it looks like Yorkshire are going to beat Northants. Northants 146 for 7, still needing another 74 to beat the Tykes. And here it is still anybody's game. Somerset needing another 69 runs, and Middlesex 4 wickets. Stephen Finn to Stephen Davis, who drives pleasantly but only as far as Hanscom, who's at a deepish mid-off in deference, I think, to that Davis off drive, which is his signature shot, you would say. One of the most elegant offside players in the country, Steve Davis, and has been throughout his career with Worcestershire and then Surrey, and then coming here to Somerset in 2017. Finn is in and bowls, and plays that a little bit away from his body. The ball that was leaving him outside the off stump, but managed to keep it down into the offside, played it out to backward point.
Finn's bowling well this morning. Again, the economy for Finn was going to be crucial this morning. You know he can take wickets. He's got 6 in the match, 5 in the first innings. But the economy so crucial with so few runs to play with.
Here he comes again, kicking up his heels. This is a wild drive from Stephen Davis to an away swinger. Good ball from Finn, tempting the left-hander into playing that favourite off drive of his. And he made contact only with thin air.
And that's the key to Finn's economy, isn't it? Because if he can keep his economy down, that means he's keeping that ball tight on the top of off stump, and all that Davis will have to play with then is the attempt at that drive.
Here comes Finn. He's in bowls to Davis, who turns this into the onside, thinks about a single, but it's not there. Important that these two batsmen don't get frustrated and try and force the runs.
No, I think as well, if Finn is settling into a groove here, that he is going to be economical today, then like that one there, just finding that single, getting it fine at the mid-wicket fielder if he can, rotating the strike if Middlesex do manage to bog them down a little bit.
Here's Finn in and bowls. Davis defends. End of a maiden over, good over from Stephen Finn. He had Davis playing and missing, and offering little or nothing off the other deliveries. At the end of it, the score remains 138 for 6, and the target remains another 69 runs.
A maiden for Finn, his first of this innings, and by my reckoning he's had 3 overs this morning, none for 3, so he is doing everything that would have been asked of him by his coach and by his captain this morning.
Is this the 12th man coming on?
Yes, Tilan Walaluita. Leave it to me. It's got a ring about it though, Walla Luita.
Walla Luita.
There you go, well done. Yeah, it's got a ring about it. It's not as terrifying for a commentator as it looks. Here's Anderson, right arm over, he bowls, and this goes past the edge of Goldsworthy looking to drive. That was a lovely line and length. He didn't do much wrong there, Goldsworthy. He had to play at that. All he could really do was get everything behind it perhaps, and well, that's only in hindsight, because that was a beautiful ball, just full of a length, just outside the off stump, forcing into play, and through it goes to the gloves of Simpson. Davis comes down to offer a word of advice or encouragement.
Just saying, just be patient, just wait for the bad ball. The bowlers will tire eventually.
Yes. Anderson bowls straighter ball and turned to square leg by Goldsworthy. This is really high quality cricket at the moment, because Middlesex have got it right on the spot, and Goldsworthy and Davis are standing up to it.
But not making much progress.
No, but as you say, eventually those bad balls will come. They've just got to hang in there. But I said the crunch point for Middlesex could be the change bowlers if Finn and Anderson would be able to follow Murtagh in particular with his economy this morning. They've done so far. As Anderson bowls onto the hip, it's turned to square leg again by Goldsworthy. No run. The field's well set. As we said a few moments ago, the stage is well set here, isn't it? 2 slips. Third man, he's around to a deep backward point really out there, isn't he, Holdham? Cover points, Gubbins, wide, very wide mid-off is the captain Hanscom. Mid-on, mid-wicket, square leg and long leg, and Anderson in, bowls to Goldsworthy, who drives back to the bowler. There's no run. There's no run and there's nowhere to go at the moment for Somerset, and that's the best that Middlesex can do. Just keep it tight, hope they can find the edge. Ball's now into its 43rd over, so that comes into it as well, that the ball will be tiring much as the bowlers will.
Case for counter-attack, I think. It was at this stage in the run chase at Lords when Lewis Gregory counter-attacked and just changed the whole nature of the game.
Anderson bowls, and that one's run away down to deep backward point for a single by Goldsworthy, back and across to it. 139 for 6, 68 more required. 4 wickets standing. 4 big wickets though, with the night watchman being one of the 6 to fall.
Yeah, there's only one more big wicket to come, and that's Craig Overton.
Maybe it's because I've got my Middlesex hat on. I'm worried about Davey being the man to see the runs over the line against his former county, having produced such wonders with the ball in a couple of innings against them so far.
He's a very good striker of the ball, Josh Davey.
Around the wicket comes Anderson to Davis, who fends at that one down to the vacant third man for 4. A cry of catch. It was in the air for a while, and perhaps in error there was no gully. No gully for Middlesex, which again is a big area for catching Davis as he fell in the first innings. 13 he moves to, and looking at it, yeah, it was edgy, wasn't it? It was in the air, and Davis survives. 143 for 6, 64 more for Somerset. That felt like a slight, as he came around the wicket there to Davis, that felt like a slight error from Middlesex, that they forgot to put the gully back in.
Well, I suppose it's difficult for Hanscom, isn't it? You know, because he's got to both attack and defend.
Yes.
He needs to take wickets, but equally he can't afford to give away too many runs and let Somerset get too close to...
but then Gully there would have done both. It would have attacked and defended, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, it would.
Blocking off the vacant third man and also in a catching position. That did feel like it was a lapse from Middlesex. I mean, look, it's not just Hanscom. He's only a game into the job, isn't he? The senior men out there need to support him.
Here's Finn then to bowl to Lewis Goldsworthy. Full toss down the leg side, and Goldsworthy misses out.
Looking for the Yorker, I'd imagine, Stephen Finn. Devilishly good Yorker in one-day cricket in particular.
Goldsworthy rehearses a pick-up shot to that. I'm not sure that would be the wisest shot to play, in fact, because there is a... Who's that fielder out at deep, backward square leg on the boundary?
It looks like Holman, is it? It looks like Holman over there. Right. Hanscom very much involved at the moment. He had a long chat with Stephen Finn there.
He did. Finn to Goldsworthy, and Goldsworthy plays that firmly to mid-wicket.
He's even wider now at mid-off, to the point that I'd say there is no mid-off and he's in extra cover, Hanscom.
They're inviting Lewis Goldsworthy to try and drive Finn through mid-off. I think that must be the
same they tried with Anderson, wasn't it?
The ploy.
And that was clearly what he was saying to Finn when he was speaking to him at the time. He was playing the off drive while speaking to the bowler.
It's Finn to Goldsworthy, another full toss, and speared in at his pads. It was a low full toss and got himself in a little bit of a tangle, but played it out into the offside all along the ground. Well, having said how hands-off Hanscom has been, he's now distinctly hands-on. He's polishing the ball furiously, chatting to his bowler.
It looks as though in hindsight he was actually in deep thought at that point, because since then he's been nattering away. He was pondering, wasn't he? His head was down, his hands were behind his back. It looks as though actually what was happening was he was in deep thought, and now he's come up with a ploy.
Here comes Finn again, in and bowls, and this is punched into the offside by Goldsworthy, but Hanscom himself does the fielding. I'm surprised that they haven't tried the trap, the formula that did for Jack Leach. You know,
to the youngster,
to the youngster, or even to Stephen Davis.
I mean, I guess they're trying to stick to the basics at the moment, aren't they, and just see, look, if you can keep it on the top of the off stump.
It's Finn to Goldsworthy, full toss again, and again he misses out, and that's a no ball.
Ooh.
Finn just straining for the Yorker. I think that's probably what Hanscom said to him. Give the Yorker a go. He's had 3 goes at it.
Yes. And
hasn't nailed it on any occasion. Unfortunately for him, he's got away with it.
Yes.
Apart from the no ball.
Well,
45.
In a way, fortunately, he didn't take the wicket on that no ball, as Paul Lewis Gregory did. Take a wicket on no ball.
Finn is in and bowls down the leg side, and Goldsworthy makes a very half-hearted attempt to help it on its way, but perhaps wisely keeping the bat out of the way of it. It's not the time to get strangled down the leg side. It's not been a great over this from Stephen Finn, but he's got away with it.
No, I think he has been asked to do something different in this over, though, hasn't he? It hasn't been that tight top of off stump area that he has been bowling so far. So I think that the skipper has asked him for something a little different.
He's in again now and bowls, and it beats Goldsworthy with a really good one that left him sharply off the pitch, and Goldsworthy rehearses the shot, looks accusingly down at the pitch, wanders up to have a chat with Stephen Davis. They touch gloves, and Goldsworthy survives. 145 for 6, another 62 Somerset need. Goldsworthy on 8, Davis on 13. This game still hanging in the balance.
Just looking back at a couple of the replays through the over, because I think I did detect there was a bit of swing there, for not a lot, just a bit of swing shaping into the right-hander for Finn, and that last one, as you say, left him. Here's Anderson around the wicket to Davis. It's full down the leg side, and he gets away with it. Simpson collects. Ball in its 45th over now. And yeah, not a massive amount, but I think a couple of the deliveries in that over are just detected, because we're not in line for it, so just having a look at the stream on the replays. A little bit of shape in through the air for Finn. So that one going away at the end of the over in particular would have pleased him, as this ball's full and driven through the covers for 4. Davis moves to 17, 149 for 6. It's not that it's the first boundary for a long while, but it is the most decisive shots for a very long while by a Somerset batsman.
Yeah, lovely shot.
58 more required.
Trademark Stephen Davis. Don't get carried away. Could, you know, I mean, it may be that Anderson is just setting him up. They're very good at that these days, bowlers and captains. They know the batsman's strengths and weaknesses so well.
Anderson bowls, and it's onto the pads, but going down, I'd say. Right arm around to the left-hander. They went up, but at that angle, your first thought is that sliding, and it wasn't a prolonged appeal at all for Middlesex. Quick shake of the head from umpire Gould. Just a bit of excitement more than anything for them. Looks like it had a bit going for it, though. It did look as though it straightened, but again, the angle itself, it was having to straighten a lot to grab that leg stump, as this ball's full and driven through the covers again. Davis moves to 21, 153 for 6, 54 more required for Somerset. And how a couple of deliveries can change the feel of things.
Lovely shot again. Well, they've added 49 now this morning. So nearly halfway to the target that they faced this morning of 103. The loss of those 2 wickets.
Mercer's in one ear of Anderson and Hanscom's in the other. And although, as I say, bowlers don't usually like someone in their ear, particularly the captain, I think this is required at the moment for the youngster, isn't it? Just to coax him through, help him through. And all the experience of Mercer, the result of it all is he's going to come right arm over to the left-handed Davis now. So Goldsworthy switches across sides, and here he comes from the river end, Anderson. He bowls, it's a good length delivery, good line, and a forward defence from Davis. On to come of the 45th. And we're doing time-wise for lunch, 32 minutes to lunch on the final day, 54 more required, or 4 wickets for Middlesex.
Well, the runs would need to come in a rush for lunch to be delayed.
How long can it be delayed for? Half an hour?
Half an hour, yeah.
Anderson bowls, and this ball's turned to mid-wicket and there's no run. 153 for 6. If a wicket doesn't come soon, then it might be that lunch can't come quick enough for Middlesex just to regroup.
Well, I was just going to say, or, of course, if the wickets come in a rush, then...
yes, yeah.
Then Middlesex would be the ones asking for the extra half hour.
I think two in the next half an hour, then we'd go on, wouldn't we? Or likewise 25-30 runs in the next half an hour, then there's a chance Somerset could go on, but Middlesex would be desperate to get off the field, you'd imagine, at that point, regroup and get Mercer in particular back on at the river end. He's now chatting to Finn, the senior statesman of the side, Tim Mercer, 40 later this summer, but said at the beginning of last summer that he still felt like he was 18, which is great news for Middlesex fans with the job that he does and is indeed doing again in this match.
Here's Finn then to bowl another over to Lewis Goldsworthy. He's in and bowls, and Goldsworthy lets that go through outside the off stump. This will be Finn's 11th over, 1 for 33. Tim Mercer 16 overs, 3 maidens, 4 for 39. Helm 12 overs, none for 52, and Anderson 1 for 25 in 7, been relatively expensive again.
Do you think Mercer will have 20 minutes before lunch? They're over from, I think they've got to try and give it back to Mercer.
Here's Finn then to Goldsworthy, in and bowls, a full toss, another attempted Yorker, which Goldsworthy digs out.
Hasn't peppered him, has he, at all? It's been a Yorker, it's been top of the off stump. There hasn't been a short one at all to Goldsworthy.
Well, if you remember, when Goldsworthy came in, I think it was in the first over, he was facing Finn, and Finn bounced him.
Yeah.
And he hooked him off his eyebrows for 4 in front of square.
Yeah, you said it was Vaughan, like, didn't you, with the leg in the... was that him, or was that...
No,
that was Bartlett, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was Bartlett. Here's Finn to Goldsworthy. Drives up through mid-off, and it's half stopped by Hanscom, and they will come back for a second run. Nice shot and a good piece of fielding by Hanscom, who's standing very wide there at mid-off. He did well to get a hand on that.
Yeah, he's having to be alert, isn't he, that as wide as he is. He's got a lot of ground to cover there.
$155 for 6. Finn bowls, and this is pulled away. There you are. That's the shot. That's why he doesn't bowl short to Lewis Goldsworthy. Terrific shot. Absolutely cracked that in front of square, did Lewis Goldsworthy, giving the man out on the fence no chance whatsoever. Luke Holman, all he could do was watch that flash past him.
Wow, that was quite the shot from the youngster. Really was powerfully struck.
Beautifully, and he kept it down.
Yeah.
159. 4-6. Will Finn get his revenge? This is on leg stump. He turns this away, and Holman this time will make the stop. 160 4-6.
Well, 3 off his first 3 overs, but since then Finn's been asked to do something different, hasn't he? He's served up those Yorkers, and I say serving up as many Yorkers as he did, that's why it kind of felt like, well, you've got to, if you're going to put one on the toe, you've got to put one on the chin as well, just to make sure he's not sat on the front foot. But what a response from Goldsworthy.
Yeah, he's a fine young player. He's batted himself into the first choice 11 for Somerset. This is Davis fencing that into the offside to bring the over to a conclusion. 160 for 6. Another 47 runs Somerset need with 4 wickets in hand, and at least one of those wickets is that of Craig Overton.
47 more. The tension has come out of it slightly, because I feel that the last couple of overs, those boundaries have just started to sway it again towards Somerset.
I don't know. A wicket now, it would be right back in the balance.
Yeah. Anderson's continue. 25 minutes until lunch. I reckon this needs to be a good over from Anderson, or then it might have to be Mercer to come back on and put him through the pain of, what did he bowl, an hour and 5 minutes. He would have only had a 35 minutes break, wouldn't he, if he does come back on for the next over from the river end. 160 for 6, 47 to win. Anderson right arm over, he bowls, and Goldsworthy leaves alone outside the off stump. 15 for the youngster, who, as you say, batted so well, and he's the future. So would you suggest then that Davis now will be positioned at 7 and it'll be a top 6 with Goldsworthy?
No, I don't know. I'm a bit torn. Against Hampshire, you know, there's a good case for bringing Marchant de Lange back in and not play the extra batsman.
Anderson bowls full outside of the off stump, left alone by Goldsworthy.
I think what I'd be tempted to do would be to give Tom Banton a rest, get Tom Abel to open the innings, and put Lewis Goldsworthy in at number 3 probably.
How would Bartlett go at 3? Because I've been impressed by him. He looks studious in his approach.
That's certainly a possibility.
Anderson bowls, and this is punched off the back foot out to a deep point for a single for Goldsworthy. He moves to 16, 161 for 6.
Tom Abel's been effectively opening the innings throughout the season in any case, so he's got the technique to be an opening batsman. Although another possibility would be to ask Lewis Goldsworthy to open the innings.
Anderson's past the umpire, he bowls, and the left-handed Davis dabbles outside the off stump again. Through it goes. There's a backward point, there's no gully. The backward point is that much wider rather than a gully, because it is a 5-4 field, isn't it? So there's only 2 slips backward point cover. So it's a long gap. If he were to go just a little finer towards perhaps a deep gully rather than a backward point, it would leave a big old space between cover and gully if so. Anderson hits the crease now, he bowls right up there, and it's clipped through square leg for a single to where Finn is one of those 4 on the onside. He's a deep square, there's a long leg as well. 162 for 6, 45 to win. Holman passes down below us, he's the long leg. Will the wrist spinner be given a go? Again, if he does, I think it'll be a final throw of the dice. I think they'll go back to Mercer before.
Yes, I don't think I'd put the wrist spinner on.
Anderson bowls full, and this is driven up to mid-on for a single by Goldsworthy, just wide of Mercer. He moves to 17. That was the end of the over. He'll keep the strike then. 163 for 6, 44 to win, and that was not a bad over from Anderson, a better over.
Yep, the 2 batsmen confer. These 2 came together when George Bartlett was out LBW playing a rather rash whip through the onside to a straight ball from Tim Murter at 123, so they've added 40 vital runs. But as I was saying, a wicket now and this game would be right back in the balance.
We've been blessed by the weather these days as well, haven't we? Really have. It's been a lovely few days down in Taunton. And
lovely for the sunshine, not terribly lovely for the temperatures.
no, indeed, but Taunton's look lovely in that sunshine as the Quantocks are bathed at the moment, aren't they?
There's Finn in and bowls a full-length delivery to Goldsworthy, who drives it up to mid-on, who is
Tim Murter.
Positioned there presumably to act as a bit of a foil to advisor, personal.
Yeah, he's regularly a mid-on now.
Consultant to Stephen Finn. Fielder's quite deep now, as Finn is in and bowls to Goldsworthy, who covers up.
I'd like to see Finn probe where he was. I was really impressed by his accuracy on the off stump for a run this morning before they went to the tactic against Goldsworthy, which allowed a few runs to squirt through. To stick on that off stump. No third man for Finn, which with only 2 slips and a backward point again, it's that double whammy. If you take an edge, it flies through a vacant third slip and it goes for 4.
Yeah, well, it's a relatively
it's the deep square they've got.
Batsman, you'd expect Goldsworthy to be good on the cut. He whips this away through the onside, but it'll just get a single as it goes straight to Luke Holman out on the deep backward square leg boundary. 164 for 6.
And that indeed is where the third man is. He's at deep square, isn't he? He's the man who'd come across, and mid wicket would just move around slightly if so.
Goldsworthy just rehearses, just using his top hand to indicate that he should have hit that further in front of square. He timed it beautifully, but picked out the fielder.
Third man in place for Davis with that short boundary in front of the Colin Atkinson pavilion. No gully again, but I think that's the right call to go third man for him with that short boundary here.
Finn then to Davis in and bowls, and Davis will pick up a single as he tucks that into the onside, and Helm does the fielding. 165 for 6. Fielders just back, probably just outside an imaginary 30-yard fielding circle. So there are singles to be had as Hanscom tries to stop the boundaries. Finn to Goldsworthy, he's there and bowls, and Goldsworthy gets an edge down to third man for 4, exactly as Kevin Hand predicted. He went for the drive, did Lewis Goldsworthy. Came off a thick edge. Not sure it would have been a chance had there been a third slip, but you can't expect Middlesex to post a third slip under these circumstances. 4 more runs.
No, I don't think it would have been a chance for anybody. Again, I think it would have been wider, perhaps even of a 4th slip. But the frustration, I guess, really is, again, the third man's protecting the good ball where you want Finn to bowl, trying to draw that full shot. 38 now for Somerset.
169 for 6. Goldsworthy on to 22. Finn bowls to him now. He drives back up the pitch, but Murter is across from mid-on to do the fielding. End of that over. 169 for 6. Another 38 runs Somerset need. And I suppose the extra half hour is just beginning to hove into view, with another 20 minutes or so to go to lunch.
Yeah, another 8 to 15 runs in this 20 minutes, and it could be taking his Murter. I think they had to go back to him, didn't they? From the river end, and nothing that Anderson had done particularly wrong. There was one over where he got cracked away for a couple of 4s, but that's the game. It's going to happen. Middlesex needs Murter to use all of his experience and his guile now, though. Just keep the ball on the top of the off stump, challenge both edges as he does, and find that breakthrough. 169 for 6 in the sunshine here at Somerset. Murter, look, he's still stretching. It's only been a break of 35 minutes since his hour and 5 minute spell first up at the river end. He's right arm over now, and he bowls to the left-handed Davis, who patiently waits on the ball, plays it late and just dabs it down, back up the track. 17th over, 4 for 39 with 3 maidens for Murtagh.
It's a bit of a weakness, this, for Middlesex, isn't it? The fact that they've only really got 3 frontline seam bowlers. Anderson, you know, is very much a 4th seamer, and there's Ethan Bamber, not selected. Seems strange.
Murtagh past the umpire, bowls, and this ball is onto the legs and worked out to deep square for a single. 170 for 6.
Not to mention
Roland Jones.
Roland Jones.
Yeah, I mean, you can't not at this point look. And Roland Jones over the years has been the man. I was just looking at Murtagh and Finn when he was at mid-on, Murtagh having a natter with Finn, and you've seen him at breakfast in the morning, those two. It's always the bowlers sitting together, and you know, they're the old men of the side now, which is extraordinary to say of Finn at 31, 32. Usually it's Roland Jones and Murtagh over the years. They've been the buddies. And right now, he'd be pretty useful at one end, wouldn't he, Roland Jones?
He would, absolutely.
Murtagh's in, bowls, and this ball's pushed to square leg, and there's no run. 170 for 6, but that's, you know, if had Bamber have played, then really it would have been 4, or Roland Jones indeed played. I guess maybe it would have been Anderson, and Simpson would have batted at 6 with Roland Jones at 7, but again, Anderson is a batsman who bowls, isn't he? Middlesex was skittled for 117 in their innings, second innings, and it has been batting that over the years has been their problem. So having a batsman who bowls is perhaps overall more useful to them. As forward goes Goldsworthy, and pushing up to mid-off, there's no run, which means you're then rotating 2 seamers a match, and in this match it is Roland Jones and Bamber who are given the break.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the two that as such have taken their place are Finn and Helm, which are pretty decent.
They are, but
I mean, Helm again, you know, you mentioned he wasn't mentioned in that Sunday Times piece today, Helm, and he has been there or thereabouts for England for a long, long while. You know, a number of squads.
But, you know, Middlesex's best bowler in this game is 39-year-old Tim Murtagh.
Well, that's always the case, no matter who plays. Here's Murtagh, he's in, bowls, and it's edged along the floor, down to the vacant third man. 33 more to win. Goldsworthy moves to 26, 174 for 6, and that is the 50 partnership for the 7th wicket.
Terrific partnership.
It's rattled along in the last couple of overs, hasn't it, with, you know, those couple of boundaries off Anderson, and now a couple of edges. It's the vacant third man. Ball's lost under the covers at the moment.
Strange that they haven't had a third man, isn't it?
I think so. I think at this point again it's protecting the good ball, isn't it? And you're desperately asking the bowlers to probe on that off stump.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it, like I say, it's accounted for 6 runs because they'd have had a single in both of those edges down to the vacant third man. Because desperately have done with those 6 being back on the board now. Middlesex 33 to win for Somerset, and it feels like it's Murtagh or bust. He's right arm over, bowls, and this is played off the back foot to backward point by Goldsworthy on 26 now. End of the 49th over of the Somerset chase, and 33 to win with 14 minutes to lunch. Middlesex, I think, would be desperate to get off now and have lunch, wouldn't they? A change of ends for Anderson. Now this is an interesting call by the captain, a big call, isn't it? Finn is done, 1 for 46 from 12. I think he had 27 runs overnight from 6 overs. So he bowled 6 for 19 this morning. Would that be right? Yes.
Yeah. Well, again, I find it a bit surprising that he hasn't brought Tom Helm back into the attack.
Yeah, I mean, they really were pleased with how Anderson bowled last night. They were delighted with him. He's 1 for 28 from 8. Bearing in mind, he'd had a couple of boundaries cracked off him through the covers by Davis.
But you think how well Tom Helm bowled yesterday morning.
Yeah.
When
picked up a couple, didn't he?
Yeah, sorry, Middlesex mopped up those 6 wickets. It's Anderson though to Davis, full toss, which is just worked up to Murtagh at mid-on.
Got away with that, didn't he? There was a bit of shape on it though, and I think that's why Davis was watchful about it first ball. For a change of ends from Anderson. Didn't want to close that face and powered away through the onside.
Very, very tense here at the Cooper Associates County Ground. Somerset needing another 33. Anderson bowling to Davis, who just helps that on its way out towards deep square leg. Short ball, picks up another single. 175 for 6. Davis moves on to 25. Same score as his partner Lewis Goldsworthy. The pride of Cornwall. He's done his county and his side proud, and his family as well. He waits now as Anderson is in and bowls and defends stoutly. Up to Hanscom. The Middlesex captain, who must be a little bit worried, Kevin, I would have thought, at this stage. Middlesex desperately need to break this partnership.
Yeah. Yep. It's close, very close for Somerset now.
Is Anderson to Goldsworthy, who again defends. Good straight ball. Simpson standing back, which I suppose is testimony to the fact that Anderson can work up decent pace off not a very long run up.
Yeah, he came through the youth ranks, all through Berkshire youth cricket, as 80-mile-an-hour bowler all the way through the youth levels, and a couple of back injuries perhaps have prevented him kicking on to a sharper pace.
Anderson bowls to Goldsworthy, who shapes as if to play a big drive at that, checks his shot and just plays it along the ground, but out into the offside. But moment of uncertainty there.
They thought they were through for a moment, didn't they, Middlesex? I thought he was late on it.
Just a late adjustment from Goldsworthy, who's looking for that drive. Hanscom's come a little bit straighter now at mid-off. This is a full-length delivery, and they'll pick up a single as Murtagh fields at mid-on. Every run being warmly applauded now by the Somerset team and camp followers, who are all sitting out on the top deck of the Colin Atkinson Pavilion. End of that over. 176 for 6. 31 more runs needed.
Edging ever closer, as is lunch, 10 minutes away. Again, well, they came out after lunch, didn't they? And off they went and never looked back at Lords. Middlesex picking up a wicket with the final ball of that session to remove Overton, and they felt like they were on the way. It feels the other way at the moment. It feels like Middlesex need to get in and regroup. Simpson stands up as Murtagh bowls to Goldsworthy, who's forward, driving into the stumps of the non-strikers. There, no touch from Murtagh. I don't think Davis had come out of his crease anyway. 176 for 6. Cloud cover again at Taunton. Sun on the Quantocks. Sun on the houses over the back of the river stand, indeed. But a big grey one sitting over us at the moment, which again should help Murtagh. It's not exactly filled in over us though. Blue skies in the distance, as I said. But here's Murtagh. Bowls and beats Goldsworthy with a lovely swinging ball on the off stump. Oh, almost perfection from Murtagh, that, isn't it? Just full of a length, forcing him to play, swinging it away through to Simpson. Crucially, no edge. 176 for 6, Murtagh. 4 for 44. Picked up 4 for 28 against Surrey last week in the first innings, and here he comes again. Bowls in a forward defence from Goldsworthy. Yeah, he's but in good form. He missed the match down at the Aegeus. It's in Murtagh because of a stiff back, which well, that rather helped a little bit, this rotation policy, because at some point he'd have been rotated, and well, the stiff back was a good reason. Yeah, even the old man is going to be rotated.
I can't see Craig Overton being rotated by Somerset.
Merter hits the crease now, he bowls and goes past the edge of Goldsworthy. Lovely ball. Just about carried to Simpson. It felt as though it died a little. Goldsworthy a bit trapped in the crease on it. Davis comes down to have a natter.
Goldsworthy wanders away towards the square leg umpire. Heart pounding.
So look, I don't think Merter's picked up a 5 for yet this summer. He's got 3 4-fers now. 4 for 46 in the Somerset first innings at Lord, only 1 in the second. Didn't play at Hampshire, and the Surrey match 4 for 28 and 2 for 30. 4 for 44 here. As he bowls and Goldsworthy turns to mid-wicket. Defensively, there's no run. And that on top of his 3 for 49 in the first innings, Merter. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's, because the other one who's running around here with Tilan Walalawita as 12th and 13th man is Blake Cullen. He's a cracking young prospect for Middlesex as a bowler, so it's tough. They've got, their strength is with the ball. And again, in this match, if you look at the scoreboard, the problem in this match wasn't with the ball, it was with the bat. 117 all out in their second innings. So, likewise at the Aegeus, the problem was with the bat, all out for 79 in the first innings. As Merter comes in, he bowls, it's full. Bit of shape on it, driven by Goldsworthy to Hanscom, who smothers it coming around from that wide mid-off. The sun's out again. It's 31 more to win for Somerset, 176 for 6. Goldsworthy 27, Davis 25. So yeah, I don't think the rotation thing is something that Middlesex needs to really worry or ponder too much, because yet again, it's the bowlers here who are bailing out the batsmen.
Yeah. But
I mean, that collapse shouldn't have happened. 44 without loss to 117 all out.
It's true, but equally at Lords, the bowlers failed to defend
285.
285.
Yeah, and there was honesty at the end of that match after the 56 for 8. The point was made. Look, not only 56 for 8 was bad, but not defending 285. They were disappointed with themselves
on their home track.
But credit to Gregory. I mean, Gregory took the game away from them when it felt as though it had swung to Middlesex.
Here's Anderson in a bowls to Davis, who drives it back to the bowler. No Gregory for Somerset today, but they do still have Craig Overton up their sleeves. For the moment, these two doing a splendid job. 176 for 6, 31 runs short. I'd be surprised if we take the extra half an hour. Anderson is in bowls to Davis, who drives away through the offside. That'll be 4 runs. Reduces the target to 27 over pitch from Anderson, and Stephen Davis needs no second invitation to drive the ball through the offside. He moves on to 29 and the score on to 180. 27 more Somerset need.
Another of those in the next 5 minutes and lunch will be delayed, I reckon.
Yeah, could be.
I was just thinking before that ball that Middlesex had tightened it up nicely again, up to the interval. Boy oh boy, do they need a wicket now.
There's no one back on the offside sweeping, which again is a bit surprising. Anderson is in and bowls, and this is tucked away down to fine leg for 4 more. 184 for 6 are Somerset. Stephen Davis moves on to 33. Poor delivery from Martin Anderson, just straying down the leg side, and Davis just helping it on its way.
Again, it's a 5-4 field. The most notable absence really on that offside is third man again, with the short boundary down there, which is asking Anderson to keep the line very straight on the stumps. So having been driven through the covers, he's gone too far the other way and down the leg side with that one.
The field is set back, so there are plenty of singles for Davis to pick up as he drives up to mid-off, and there would have been a should have been a single there really, but with Hanscom moving around towards the stumps, I suppose it was a fair enough decision not to take it.
It's getting to last throw of the dice for the skipper, isn't it? Which means you've got to look at a change. It's not going to be a change for Mercer, obviously, at the river end. Who's he going to bring on? I think Helm. He's got to gamble and say, can Helm, who's looked the most threatening in the match.
Here's Anderson to Davis, and he just turns that. It was in the air for a time, down towards long leg, but he deliberately did not go through with the shot.
It was extraordinarily in the air for a long time, though, wasn't it?
But he backed off quite consciously, so that he made sure he didn't
send it down the throat. Yeah.
top edge it down to long leg. Another run, 185.
It was an extraordinary steer, though, wasn't it? Because you say it was up there for so long, hung up there, but it's a big old boundary away to the river stand and the Somerset stand, and both fielders right back on the ropes.
Anderson then to Goldsworthy, in and bowls, and Goldsworthy won't get a run as he plays that square of the wicket, and it's picked up at backward point. Brings that over to a conclusion. The two umpires are going to confer.
How many runs needed in this over for lunch to be delayed? I think we might have enough already, really. I think Hanscom's got to bring on Helm here down below us in the Marcus Trescothick stand. Umpire's having a natter about it. I can't see a reason not to delay lunch with 22 needed. Somerset would want to stay out there now, wouldn't they? They wouldn't want to be broken by...
Yeah, no, they wouldn't want their concentration broken by having to go off for lunch.
I mean, the umpires here, there was never going to be 2 more overs before 1 o'clock, but their conference just now has ensured that this... as I say, there was never going to be 2. It's either we're staying on or we're not after this over. It's just gone 58 now as Mercer's right arm over to Davis. And Davis is beaten, first ball of the over, ball that holds its line across the left-hander. Typical Mercer.
He's a tremendous bowler, I must say.
Can he produce another couple of moments of magic to see Middlesex through? 4 for 44. Helm, who was replaced by Finn early on. He'd got struck away a couple of times, didn't he? His first ball of the morning went for 4 through the covers by Bartlett, but I feel they've got to go back to him, and quickly, just to see if he can find something as Mercer's in, bowls, and Davis is forward, right over the top of it, smothering the ball. Into the onside it goes. For Middlesex to win it from here, it's going to be a stunning finish, isn't it? It should be. Somerset's, it should be from here. 22.
Doesn't bear thinking about from a Somerset perspective.
What does a wicket do now, though? If a wicket were to fall in this over, would the umpire say, 7 down, 22? Is that lunch, or is it? That may well have been what the chat was before the start of the over, actually. Mercer bowls, and Davis drives, only as far as cover. Gubbins feels. Again, he didn't go hard at it, did he, Davis? Just a stroke. Straight to the fielder. It is 1 o'clock at Taunton on the final day. Is lunch to be delayed for these 22 runs? All 4 wickets. But again, it's going to need something special from the visitors if they're to prevent a second Somerset turnaround in the space of 4 weeks. Mercer bowls, nice line and length again, defended by Davis, and fielded at mid-wicket. He's just going to leave that ball there, isn't he? He needs somebody to just leave the ball on the spot at the other end and ask Somerset to find...
Absolutely, and Stephen Davis showing commendable patience out there. It's important that if they can keep Mercer out, then the opportunities ought to come at the other end.
2 balls left of this over. 2 slips crouched down. Mercer bowls. Davis drives harder on this occasion, but straight to Gubbins again, rolling to his left. Made no mistake, had everything behind that one. Again, not fully through with the shot, but a better connection from Davis.
Played that on the up, I think.
Both of the drives have been a little, well, heart-in-mouth moments, I'd say. Because again, that's the one where it can be a weakness for him, can't it? Outside the off-stump, he's offered a few.
And he's got the...
backward point.
Deep, quite backward point.
Mercer bowls, and this time he gets it away in between backward point and cover, and that's going to race for 4, I fancy. Holden's giving a hard chase from backward point, a slide, and he keeps it in. Gubbins has gone with him, and they've run 3. 19 to win for Somerset. Davis is on to 37, 188 for 6, and that is the end of the over. And the umpires are... everybody's having a look. Middlesex want to go, obviously. They desperately want to go off right now and try and regroup, and they're going off.
Oh, well.
We're going off for lunch.
Only in cricket would that happen.
Yes.
Where there's every possibility of a finish in the next 20 minutes, but we're all going to go and have lunch. Well, there you are.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I have to be honest, I'm surprised. I thought we'd stay on for the 19 runs, but boy oh boy, Middlesex needed this break.
Well, there we are. Lunch has arrived on time. The formalities must be observed in cricket. 188 for 6 are Somerset, needing another 19 to win, and the applause you can hear is all of the Somerset team and support staff standing up on the top deck of the Colin Atkinson Pavilion to welcome their 2 batting heroes back to the pavilion. Lewis Goldsworthy, just 20 years old, from Cornwall, 27 not out, and the old warrior Stephen Davis, 37 not out. These two came together when George Bartlett was out, when the score was 123 and Middlesex were rampant, and they have since added 65 to take Somerset to within touching distance of what would be another extraordinary comeback win over their old rivals from London. To find out whether they can get their county over the line, join us in around 40 minutes time. For the moment, from myself, Anthony Gibson, and from Kevin Hand, it's goodbye from the county ground.
Exclusive deals, top prizes and amazing rewards. Time to take advantage. It's time to take Bradvantage. It's easy. Visit bradvantage.co.uk. Register using your Bradford's account number. If you're an existing rewards member, just sign in using your previous details. Select the rewards you'd like to receive. Your points are counted up at the end of October, so you have until then to decide. You'll automatically collect points every time you spend in branch or online. And the more you spend, the more you'll get. Legend. We'll be giving away more than £1 million worth of rewards and benefits throughout the year, so keep checking out the exclusive deals you can access and the prizes you could win. Visit bradvantage.co.uk and sign up today. Nice.
Welcome to the Cooper Associates County Ground. I'm Steve Snell. Today we're going to be doing a fielding masterclass with club captain Tom Abel and assistant coach Paul Tweddle. We're going to be chatting about all things fielding, both mental and the practical aspects of fielding within the ring. Looking forward to getting into it.
Swing. You see that road's going to be tight. He's giving it up, but he's hit it on Tom Abel.
I'm here with club captain Tom Abel and assistant coach Paul Tweddle. Today we're going to be chatting about our fielding philosophies and what that looks like when we're out in the middle. Certainly the practical application of that, but also the mental side of fielding. So, Tom, when you're in the throes of competition, you're out there at extra cover. What's going through your mind as the bowler's running in?
I guess when you're in a ring, especially, just thinking about how you can affect the game, trying to do your job as best you can, looking for run-out opportunities, and obviously throwing yourself about in a ring. I think you have an important role in trying to keep up the energy as well if you're fielding in the circle. So they're the sorts of things that go through my mind.
Certainly from your perspective, most Somerset fans will associate you with fielding at extra cover. Do you see yourself as a specialist in that position, or do you enjoy all different aspects of the fielding positions you find yourself in?
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable in a circle. I haven't done a huge amount of slip fielding. That might be something sort of for me to work on. But I fielded at point, I fielded at sort of mid-wicket as well, and I'm quite happy wherever. As I say, I guess the role is slightly different in each position, and you've probably got to try and read the game slightly differently, read what the batsman's trying to do. But ultimately, I think you've got to try and make sure that you're always looking for those opportunities to change the game.
You mentioned the word there, read what the batter's trying to do. How many clues or how much tell do you get off the batters, and how much influence does that have on how you field?
I think it has a huge impact. Anticipation is probably the biggest thing within fielding. I guess it's a very split-second thing. You're watching the batter and seeing, their back lift, see the type of shot that they're shaping up to play, and you try and sort of adjust accordingly, I guess.
We've all heard that old adage of walking in with the bowler and being on your toes. How relevant is that in the professional game? Is that old school, old hat, or is that something that still exists?
I don't think so. I think that like walking in, it's all part of your preparation. It's all part of your movement pattern and getting into good positions to make sure you can attack the ball or dive, whatever it may be. So I think that is a huge part of it.
So movement patterns, reading the shot shape, being switched on in terms of ready to go, in terms of anything could happen. It sounds like some good nuggets that we're going to have a look at in a minute. Paul Tweddle, Somerset, I think assistant coach is official title these days. I know you've had a big impact and a big role to play as a squad in terms of the fielding, right across from the academy into the first team. Can you give us a bit of an indication of the work that goes in behind the scenes, and then just what these guys like Abe's are doing on a daily basis to practice their fielding?
Yeah, I think the whole club philosophy is to try and create impact in the field. Wherever you're fielding, that there's a chance going to be coming your way, and that you need to be ready for that, and that you're building a story in your head about the state of the game and how you can then go and impact the game.
The way you're shaping up, I thought you were going to try and hit this area, and then at the last minute when you sort of just drop your hands and looking for a one in here, that's my signal to really attack the ball and try and sort of run you out.
So as soon as I dropped my hand, it gave the impression that you rushed me, you were running at me, even though you didn't quite know where the ball was?
Yeah, and look, there's sometimes when you can probably read it a little bit wrong, and you'll attack balls that maybe get a bit hit a bit harder. But I guess that's a risk you've got to take a little bit if you want to try and get a run out in there.
So you see my hands drop, you don't know quite where the ball's going to be, but the instinct is telling you that it's going to be somewhere around there.
But the way you've played that shot, I'm thinking he's looking for a one in this area. So as soon as that goes through my head, I'm thinking get at the ball and try and run you out.
Okay, I might see if we can sneak a little single in a minute, see if we can test that theory.
I'm always looking to come at the ball, attack the ball, because that gives you the best chance of taking a diving catch forward, or affecting a run out. So look, if a guy crunches it past you, I think sometimes you've got to say fair play, but one thing I never want to happen is to be caught on the back foot, sort of waiting for something to happen. I always want to try and go at the ball and make it happen myself.
A lot of really good fielders in this position talk about narrowing the angle. Is that an aspect of it as well, making that as small a target as possible to get past you?
Yeah, that's another thing. You've got to think about angles, especially obviously in 2020 cricket or one-day cricket. You know, in the ring you'll probably have guys slightly tighter and then guys that sit on the ring. So you do have to think about that, but especially when someone's new to the crease and they're looking for, you know, quick singles in here, I think that's when you've got to be really tight. If you've got someone that's going pretty well, then maybe you'll sit back on the ring, but you can still attack the ball from the ring and try and get a run out.
Yeah, so the thing for me is the specifics of what happens if you chopped off the top half of his body and you're just left with his legs. You really focused in on that. Is that they're never doing the same thing every ball. The thing that is the same is the lead up to it. So the walk in, the preparation stuff. As soon as he starts to read information off of the bat, he's then changing his feet to match up with what he's seeing. So he'll see drop and run, instead of his feet being square to the target on contact, they'll already be in a split position so that he can go in. Because he's already made up his mind that's going to be a drop and run. Before that ball is, or just before that ball is making contact with the bat, his feet will have changed from being into this position to going forwards, and then that gives him a head start of maybe a yard, 2 yards over someone that would have been walking and got set in this position, because they then have to try and do this to start up, whereas Abe's is always in this position. It goes back to what he said about attacking first and defending second. He's got that mindset already, so his feet will be dependent on what he sees from the batter.
So thinking of attacking first and defending second, I like that analogy to it. You're going to just move it, fast forward this a little bit instead of throwing the ball at the stump as well. I imagine in terms of your footwork, to enable you to throw at stumps, has to be really sharp, to manage your feet really well to align at the target. So we're just going to have a bit of a go at that. I might just give you a bit of a stimulus and a cue by running to the other end as well. Okay, we'll just go for a little bit of a direct challenge as well. Okay? Perfect.
It's not always about the flair stuff, throwing stumps down, one-hand catches. It's about the nitty-gritty, about driving on hard surfaces and throwing your body around. That's an evidence of that there. It's just inbuilt in Ace. Regardless of the surface, he's hitting the deck and he's making the best of a bad situation.
Mark time.
The reality is the hit percentage, even for most top international fielders, is relatively low per chances given. So when you do miss, as a ring fielder, what's going through your head in terms of next time you get the ball?
I think you're obviously conscious about which side you're missing. So a couple there I've missed right and then just overcompensated a little bit. But big thing for me that we talk about is trying to stay long at the target. And I think when you get chances like this in a ring, it's so easy to snatch at it and, you know, just try and get rid of the ball as quick as possible. And then you don't really focus on the process and try and stay long at the target, because that's what I do well when I have more success. And it's definitely an area that I can improve on further, is my stump hitting. But as I say, just sometimes you get wrapped up in the moment and the pace of the game and you just want to try and get rid of the ball as quick as possible. So for me, a big emphasis needs to be on staying long at the target.
I know from previous experience, dropping a catch in a game, any game at any level, is the worst feeling in cricket. I think it's probably worse than getting out for a duck. Yeah. But when you get that opportunity as a run out to remove a member of the opposition, and it doesn't quite happen, how much does it affect the next chance?
I guess it does. It's a tough one because you're always, you know, trying to put that to the back of your mind and focus on the next ball and the next chance that you're going to get and giving yourself the best chance. But I guess naturally as humans we do think about our mistakes and you know, what might have been and the chances that we didn't quite take. So that's all part and parcel of it as a fielder, I think, is when you do make a mistake coming back from it.
So I guess a key learn to any young player watching is you have to accept the fact you're not always going to get it right.
Absolutely, everyone's going to make mistakes. You know, you're going to fumble balls, you're going to miss run-out opportunities, you're going to drop catches. But you've got to try and give yourself the best chance around that as well.
I know from the young players' perspective, the club, just bring Tweds in it as well. I know the philosophy that we practice as a club, it's okay to get it wrong. It's okay to practice that maximal intent in order to try and further your skill levels. Is that right, Tweds?
Yeah, 100%. Really want guys to attack the ball, throw the ball hard, try and take opportunities that are going to change the game. It's not always going to go as you want it to. But if you're searching for that and you're kind of looking to make that impact in the game, you can't really go wrong. We want players that are going to impact on the game, and that is, it's okay for you to get it wrong in that situation, yeah.
So we've seen some great examples, some direct hits from Abe's this afternoon. Tweds, can you talk a little bit more specifically about some of the footwork that enables Tom to do that?
Yeah, so the simplicity that Tom uses is one of the best there is at being able to get his feet in the right position before he makes a throw. The basics of it is that he always gets into a position where his right foot goes down, his left foot goes down, and then he replaces his feet to the target. So he's always in a position, no matter what the bounce of the ball is, where he goes right, left and throw. So even if he gets into a difficult position, the ball's got in a difficult position for him to pick the ball up, he always gets into a really consistent place to be able to pick up the ball and then be able to fire from, because then it allows his arm to be really specific and as simple as it can be. It's that consistency, like a darts player getting into the same position on the hockey. It's the same position for Abe's trying to make a throw, a set of stumps. He wants to be consistent with his lower body to enable his arm to be able to work properly.
Absolutely, and also you're getting into a variety of positions. It's one of the challenges of fielding is you're going to be consistent with that feet to the target, but also from a variety of angles. That's really challenging as well.
100%.
I feel it's important as well as fielders to be seen to be backing up your bowlers, you know, putting your body on the line, because that's ultimately what they're doing. You know, they're sort of working really hard for the team, and I think you should be doing that as well as a fielder.
One of the aspects that we have highlighted today is you're not always going to get it right. You are going to make mistakes, and that commitment to bettering yourself in practice, it's a bit of a process, isn't it? It's not just 100% success rate at everything you do.
Absolutely, and missed countless run-out opportunities, but those ones that you do take in big games and big moments, they make it all worth it for sure.
Well, let's finish on a high then. Let's, if we were to put you on the spot for a moment and ask you to pick a moment from your fielding career at Somerset so far, can you highlight one special moment out there on the field?
I'd probably go with my run out against Sussex in the One Day Cup. It's always nice when it's on TV as well, I guess.
Yeah, far too modest to say that you got 100 in that game as well. But thanks for both of you your time. For me, it's been a absolute education listening to Tom and Tweds this afternoon. It's first of our series of masterclasses this winter at the Cooper Associates County Ground, and yeah, tune in. There'll be more coming your way. Welcome to the Cooper Associates County Ground for the next in our series of Somerset Masterclasses. Today I've got Somerset spin bowler Max Waller with us, not only a spin bowling artist but portrait artist as well. If any of you have seen Max on social media, numerous works of very attractive pets that he's got on there too. But today we're here to talk about spin. Max has played over 130 matches for Somerset and got a similar amount of wickets in T20 cricket. In fact, he's the leading leg spinning wicket taker in the history of the T20 blast. So today we're going to go through some leg spin bowling, but also all of the variations that you would have seen Max during his Somerset appearances. Looking forward to this one.
Somerset, Max Waller, off he goes to... Just when he was firing...
Max, thanks for joining us today. T20 cricket is so prevalent in the world of cricket, and particularly spin bowling. It's gone from almost step and fetch it in terms of the early stages of T20 cricket with the likes of Jeremy Snake with the moon balls, to T20 bowlers and particularly spin bowlers being so important in every franchise league all the way around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Spin bowling's massive in T20 cricket at the moment, especially people with variation. And variation is the most important thing, I think, in T20 cricket because it's unpredictable and also a lot of deception through the air and through delivery itself can create problems for batters who are looking to hit one area of the field.
A spin bowler these days, you're used in a variety of roles, so you have to adjust and adapt depending on what's in front of you. But if we come back to your initial mindset as a spinner, you're brought on to bowl at any stage of the game, what's generally in your mind? What are you looking to do?
I think I want to take wickets. That's the first and foremost. Any spin bowler, I think they're looking to take wickets. I don't think you can go into a game looking to contain. I think taking wickets naturally slows the run rate down anyway. So you ask any captain around the world these days in franchise cricket, they'll all look for leg spinners or spin bowlers in general as an attacking option rather than a defensive one. So yeah, looking to attack bowling wicket to wicket, stick to my strengths, know what I'm good at, and basically go from there.
Let's talk about your strengths a minute. So when the caption comes on in the summer, Max Waller, you've got your matches and wickets, and generally says leg spinner there, but spin the ball both ways. Got all sorts of deliveries.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually bowl very few leg spinners, which is actually a bit of already tricking the batsman. When they're watching at home in the highlights, they'll see the leg spin bowl actually. Lots of googlies, lots of back spinners, and trying to see the batsman both ways. I generally run the ball into the right-handed batsman, so I'm looking to attack the stumps as much as possible. I think keeping the stumps in play is important. Calling me a leg spinner is actually quite handy.
Well, today we're going to have a bit of a look at some of the variations and indeed the leg spinner that Max bowls. But if it's all right with you, let's go and have a bit of a look at it.
Yeah. First up, I'm going to bowl the leg break. The leg break I'm looking to take away from the right-handed batsman. It should come out with the palm facing the batter, so the seam rotations like that. Let's give it a go. So next up I'm going to bowl the googly. The googly is going into the right-handed batsman, trying to cramp him from room and looking to hit the stumps as much as possible. It's going to come out with the palm facing away from the batsman and hopefully come out like that. Spin back in, like an off spinner. Here we go. So next up is the slider or the back spinner. They're actually two different deliveries. I like to think the back spinner is more like throwing a dart, so the ball comes out, the seam coming down, straight down the wicket, or maybe a little bit wobbly, but it's looking to skid onto the batter. Or the slider, which actually is pushed out the front, rather than start backwards, it's pushed out the front. So it has the same effect, but probably a little bit quicker. I'll go through those two deliveries now. I'll start with the back spinner. It like runs into the batter, skiddy off the surface. Now this one's the slider, which is pushed out the front. But for the slider, you'll see more of the back of my hand. It's pushed out the front rather than the side of the hand for the back spinner. So this is the knuckleball. The knuckleballs can be held lots of different ways from the hand actually, there's lots of variations to it, but I like to make sure that my fingers or nails are caught in the seam, and then I'm literally looking to release the ball with a little bit of topspin so that it comes out with not much revolutions on it, which actually oscillates in the air, and that's causing the batsman problems through the air. It generally comes out a little bit slower as well with not much on it, so it's quite hard to hit in T20 cricket. I'll show you, give it a go.
So Max, you can be practicing in the nets and against your mates, definitely, but there's other ways you can develop spin bowling too. You can be sat on your couch watching neighbours home and away, or perhaps even Hollyoaks 10 years ago and practicing your skills, can't you?
Definitely. You grab a ball around the house, so I've got a cricket ball here, and just sit on the sofa and spinning balls hand to hand. You can actually learn all the deliveries from sitting down. So yeah, the leg spinner, you're looking to spin the ball across to your left shoulder, from your right arm to your left shoulder. That's the leg break. Looks like that. Again, try and spin as hard as you can when you're doing all these balls, because that's when you get the feel of it. So when you go to bowl with a full action, you're actually giving it a full rip. So yeah, that's the leg break. The googly, again, you can do that same thing. Again, it comes at the back of the hand, and what you're looking to do there is get the seam going away from your left shoulder. So it should look like that. You can get it in like that. So that's the back of the hand. Back spinner, again, you're just flicking it to yourself. It's like throwing a dart. That's what you're doing there. You can catch it yourself. Top spinner, again, it's the same thing, but just coming over the top. Again, you're looking for more bounce and spin. Again, same sort of thing. Spin it across your body. And then the knuckleball, you can just play around with that. You can grip it different ways. You can get your fingers in the seam. Tennis ball, whether it's a tennis ball, you can squish the tennis ball a little bit. You can get it in the air. There's just different ways to play with each delivery. Have some fun. Try different things. Make up a new ball. Why not?
And there's no limit really to how much you can be using that, isn't it? So for example, if we'll go 10 years into the future, the end of your career, you're on I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here. That could be your luxury item. You're so attuned to that, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. It's like the end of my arm now, so I keep it all in my hand as much as I can.
Okay, Max, you've utilised it in various different roles for Somerset and T20 cricket, bowling the first over on numerous occasions in the middle, but haven't seen you at the death too many times. You've been dodging that role, haven't you?
Yeah, when 17th over comes, I'm usually trying to hide somewhere on the boundary so the list doesn't spot me, but yeah, no, can happen, but very rarely, yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about those prominent roles you have been playing. How do your tactics and also what balls you're bowling differ from the different stages of the game? So, for example, if you're bowling in the power play, what's the difference in terms of your objectives and plans as if you're bowling in the middle?
Yeah, so usually bowling the first over in T20 for Somerset I've done for the last few years, and actually I really enjoy it. I like getting into the game early, and being in the game early is important for me to just get a feel of the game, how it's going, and getting to first look at the batters and the surface. Generally the batters are a bit more cautious early on, the first over of the game. They're looking to see what the ball's doing, and because I bowl so many variations, actually an advantage to me. They don't really get set, so the second over then becomes a bit of a first over as well for the opposition. So yeah, I'm looking to bowl my best ball as often as possible, whether that's a backspinner or a googly, and looking to hit the stumps as much as I can. And yeah, take it from there really.
And then when you do go into those middle overs, transitioning into them, how does your plan differ? So you bowl that first over, trying to sneak out of that, maybe burgle a wicket, but get out as fewer runs as possible and make it a 19 over game. When we get past the power play, what's your plans and tactics then?
That depends on the situation and obviously the size of the boundaries. Sometimes it's bigger one side, so I'm looking to be smart in the fact of what side I'm trying to get hit on the ground. Generally be a bit more attacking with the way I bowl. A few more variations in past the power play because I've got more fielders out, a bit more protection. So I can tackle the ball because I've got a defensive field. So yeah, I'm looking to vary it a little bit more. If the new batter's in again, look to take pace off because, well, again, depending on the size of the ground and stuff, but it can be a bit more aggressive by taking pace off the ball. And if the batsman's set, obviously looking to try and get him off strike and try and bowl at the new batter.
Yeah, certainly the 10 minutes we've set aside for this masterclass is nearly enough time to talk about all the aspects of spin bowling, but you mentioned that the field there on a couple of occasions. How important is it for spinners? First of all, get the right men in the right places. So, for example, you want Tom Abel in your prominent positions because we know that he's the best fielder in the club. We might have a little bit of banter about that at a later stage. But also ensuring that the right fielders are in the proper dimensions of the ground, having a deep mid-wicket, a deep square leg, for example.
Absolutely, yeah. Straight away I'm getting the tallest guy, Craig Overton, out on the long on boundary, trying to cover that boundary, especially if it's a short side. And yeah, Tom Lambie or Abel out there is quick on the boundary to looking to stay the two at deep mid-wicket. So yeah, that's really important. And something yeah, it's every game look to do. It
just shows, doesn't it? You have all the variations, but you still need to be tactically astute enough to get the right people in the right places.
Absolutely, gives us the best chance.
Speaking of variations, we've seen kind of numerous different deliveries from you in the past. So we seem to remember as well a bouncer that Craig Overton would have been happy to get rid of Phil Salt at some stage. Do you recall that?
It's not Adam Salter. Andrew Salter, yeah. Glamorgan, I told Steve Davis I'm going to bowl a short one because it was a big leg side boundary. I already had a couple of Craig Overton catches down at deep mid wicket, so I knew it was big leg side, and I bowled up sort of like chest high, waist high or chest height, it was more waist height, but bouncer and clocked it out to deep mid wicket. So that was, just a variation again, pace on the ball, bit of a surprise delivery, and that's always useful in T20 cricket when a batter's trying to set themselves for something that's predictable when actually it's not.
Yeah, and ensuring for you that you're not predictable, I guess that's another weapon in your armour. You can have all the balls under the sun, the kind of the backspinner, the zooter, the knuckleball, the googly, etc. But making sure that the batter can't line you up, that's crucial, isn't it?
Absolutely. You've seen in T20 cricket as it's gone on, the fast bowlers generally bowling slower balls to get it, and the spinners generally bowling quicker. So there's a bit of mixing going on, but definitely being having many variations as possible and being as awkward as possible to face, because batters like something they can get used to and they can get set on. So changing the pace is important, as well as changing the type of delivery.
because the umpires, for reasons known mainly to themselves, decided not to take the extra half an hour, and we all went in for lunch at 1 o'clock. And in the interim, a light shower has descended, and the Middlesex players rather, are in the dugout in front of the Andy Caddick pavilion. No sign of the umpires, no sign of the Somerset batsmen. The covers are on, the ground staff are out there. Don't think it's going to be a long delay, but there will be a slight delay, and as soon as we have any news of a resumption, we will bring it to you, and Kevin Hand and I will of course provide commentary when play does eventually resume. But for the moment, no play at the county ground at Taunton because of rain. The match situation remains Somerset 188 for 6 in their second innings, requiring another 19 runs to beat Middlesex. Hope you can join us, well, as soon as possible. BBC Radio Somerset. With me is Kevin Hand from BBC Radio London. The match situation is that Somerset are 188 for 6 in their second innings, needing 207 to beat Middlesex. So the remaining target is 19 runs. And we've had a break of, 55 minutes, I suppose. First of all for lunch, and then there was a light shower, which thankfully has now disappeared. In front of us is almost entirely blue sky, but away to the left, where the weather is coming from, there are some clouds, and the sun isn't actually shining at the moment. The heroes of the hour for Somerset: Stephen Davis, who has made 37, and Lewis Goldsworthy, just 20 years old, from Cornwall, who's made 27 very composed runs in this partnership of 65, which has taken Somerset to within touching distance of a second comeback victory against Middlesex. And Kevin Hand, we're going to have some leg spin by the look of it.
Oh, so it's not Helm. It's final throw of the dice, isn't it? Poor old Holman. Davis could just say, right, over the top of mid-on, let's get this done.
So it's Luke Holman bowling from the Marcus Trescothick Pavilion end to the left-handed Stephen Davis, and Davis turns him smoothly away into the onside to reduce the runs required to just 18, and every run being applauded by the Somerset camp, who are encamped on the upper deck of the Colin Atkinson Pavilion, sitting out there in the white seats. And I dare say there are plenty of people away. Yes, there are indeed, sitting out on the balconies in front of the retirement apartments away to our left. So Holman is bowling to Goldsworthy, who will pick up at least one run, might come back. No, they won't come back for a second. It's just a single, 190 for 6.
Feels like a lot to put on Luke Holman at this stage, doesn't it? Only 19 runs. That's why I just thought they'd go with the strike bowler, with Helm, and see if he could produce. He's produced some lovely spells, hasn't he? Just not enough for them in this match.
Here's Holman in and bowls to Davis, who drives away through the offside, and 3 balls, 3 runs. 191 for 6.
It's the scenario as well, what the batsmen least like, and I think they'd least like immediately after lunch, a fired up Helm.
Yeah, I find this slightly strange, I must say. If you're going to bring Holman on, I would have done it rather earlier on. But
perhaps that spell that Anderson had from this end before lunch.
He's bowling to Goldsworthy, who has an appeal for a stumping.
That was a lovely ball.
That was a good ball.
Because it's nothing against Holman, is it? It's just the fact there's 19 runs. It's an awful lot to put on a young fella at this stage, and really you need a quick clatter. Your best hopes of strike bowler, you'd have thought. Lovely ball though from Holman.
He's bowling to Goldsworthy, who's on 28. Just the slip, and Goldsworthy nose over the ball in defence. It's been, as I said, a very composed, mature innings this by young Lewis. Here's Holman bowls to him. This is shorter, and maybe that was the flipper, quicker one that comes onto the batsman. It was a little bit short and surprised Goldsworthy, but he managed to get his bat down on it, and that's the first over after the resumption, and the deficit has been reduced by 3, 191 for 6. Just 16 more required.
I reckon he liked the look of the length on that one, didn't he? He thought, right, this is going to go somewhere, and then, as you say, skidded on him, and so to trap the bat down where he got tucked up. This feels like the over if Middlesex are to get back. If they are to do anything, it feels like it has to be now. It has to be Mercer. 16 runs to play with, 4 wickets required. Mercer to Davis. 1 slip. Still no third man. There's a backward point, cover, extra cover, and a mid-off on the offside as Mercer's in, bowls, and Davis works to long leg, where he will get a single. A 5-4 field, which will change now for the right-hander, so I'll go through it again in a moment. 192 for 6, 15 to win. And it'll have to be one of the most special efforts from the magic man for Middlesex Mercer if he's to find something now. 4 for 48 in his 20th over. And indeed his 4th decade of cricket. He started up in the 90s. Here he goes to Goldsworthy, who drives back down the ground with the wide mid off. This could go all the way. Hanscom's giving chase, and a slide and a lunge, and in vain. It pops over the rope in front of the Middlesex skipper, and perhaps much like the match, it just eludes Middlesex's grasp.
Lovely shot. Again, very composed shot. He didn't try and hit it too hard. Timed it beautifully.
11 to win, 196 for 6. 2 slips go down, and Mercer bowls to Goldsworthy, who defends from within the crease. Simpson standing up. It's fielded at mid-on. The game is very nearly up. We are pretty much at the territory of it's a hat-trick required now for Middlesex to
Well,
to
didn't
do something.
Toby Rowland-Jones take a hat-trick back in
He did. He
2016?
did. His name's got a fair few mentions this morning from yourself and a few of the press boys at lunch as well.
Middlesex robbed Somerset of the county championship.
Could this be the year? They're about to do the double over Middlesex as here's Mercer bowls. Oh, a lovely ball. That was a jaffa. He looked as though he was perfectly in position for that. Goldsworthy in with a little bit of bounce as well. It's left the right-hander through to the gloves of Simpson. Mercer really couldn't have done anything more, could he, in this match, I don't think.
I do hope, if Somerset do win, I do hope Lewis Goldsworthy is still there at the end. He so much deserves it.
The winning runs would be something for him, wouldn't they?
They would indeed. Let's get ahead of ourselves.
Mercer bowls and Goldsworthy defends. From within the crease, it's to point and there's no run. 1 ball left to the over.
And I'm sure young Lewis isn't getting ahead of himself either. He's he came in when the first wicket fell, Tom Abel, when the score was 118 for 5. Somerset best part of 100 runs, still adrift, only 5 wickets in hand. And George Bartlett departed shortly thereafter.
Mercer bowls and onto the pads of Goldsworthy. It falls away into the onside and there's no run. It's the end of the over. 196 for 6. 11 to win. Holman to continue. Davis to have strike on 40. Goldsworthy 32. And said it felt like it had to be that over for Middlesex. And again now Holman in this over. Yeah, if he goes for 3 or so off this over, it targets down into double figures, and they're left in the last chance saloon of a hat-trick here, really, Middlesex, to give them any hope.
Absolutely. I am surprised it isn't Tom Helm. And I'm surprised Helm didn't have more of a bowl this morning, because he bowled so well yesterday morning. His best spell of the match. It's Holman in and bowls full toss to Stephen Davis, who turns it away into the onside. They're going to pick up just the 1 run. It's fielded out in the deep.
Stephen Finn
out there, 197 for 6, so just 10 more runs needed.
5 in the first innings for Finn, but only 1 in this. They just needed somebody else to come to the party this morning, didn't they, Middlesex? Mercer did, but he needed a mate to help him through.
Yep, it's Holman to Goldsworthy, in and bowls. Goldsworthy stretches forward to a good length ball. He's on 32, Stephen Davis on 41.
And as I say, that chatter was about Rowland-Jones over lunch and Bamber as well.
The Middlesex rotation policy. This is another full toss, which is driven away through the offside. That, I think, is going to run away for 4 runs to Goldsworthy. It does indeed. And that brings the 200 up for Somerset. 201 for 6. Just 6 runs short now, as Goldsworthy moves on to 36.
I was quickly going to say, because this could be over in a flash now, that Middlesex lost this match with the bat, 117 all out, having been 44 without loss, and in a very, very strong position. And I'll come back to it if there's time.
Here's Holman to Goldsworthy. This is short, and he'll pick up a run into the onside. Moves on to 37. 202, 6 runs short.
You got
5 runs short even.
You've got 3 international, or 2 international, seam bowlers in this match, in Mercer and Finn. But the man closest to an international call up at the moment is Helm. So
here's Holman to Davis. Full toss, turned away down to deep backward square leg just for a single. 203 for 6. Just 4 runs away, Somerset, for a second consecutive comeback victory against Middlesex. They weren't quite so down and out here as they had been at Lord's. So Holman bowls to Goldsworthy. 4 runs needed, and he's back on his stumps, and missing that is taken by John Simpson. But 41. So they were at Middlesex yesterday afternoon were effectively 130 ahead with 10 wickets in hand.
Yep.
And were then allowed themselves to, it was a combination of very good bowling by Davey and Overton and some not particularly good batting by Middlesex, and bowled out for 117. But I have to say, Kevin, that again the Middlesex bowlers have not defended a target of over 200. Here we go then. 4 runs needed. Murtagh to Davis, and he's beaten outside the off stump by a classic Murtagh delivery.
Yeah, and look, he's still doing it. 4 for 52. Look, Finn came to the party in the first innings with a 5-fer. Murtagh's done it in the match with 7. And overnight the hope would have been that Finn and Helm could have been those strike bowlers, because they're the closest to, Helm in particular, the closest to what Somerset have in Overton. And at times, Helm looked sensational in this game, but it just didn't happen for him. Those 2 drops in an over.
Here's Murtagh to Davis. 4 runs needed. Davis steers that away into the offside and won't get a run, as Gubbins is quickly around to his left to make the stop and send in the return.
Abel dropped on 12 and 13 in the same over off Helm. Went on to 41 in the first innings. So dropped catches and a collapse.
But the bowling in the second innings has been a bit of a one-man show. I mean, it's been Tim Murtagh has been superb, but the others, in all honesty, haven't made a huge impression. Right, 4 runs needed. Here's Murtagh in a bowls to Davis, who pulls that away down to backward square leg, and it's going to go over the boundary. It doesn't go over the boundary rope. As Stephen Finn, that is, down there, almost conceded the boundaries as he had it under control, then lost it, and then managed just to scoop it back in the nick of time. No, it wasn't Stephen Finn. It was Tom Helm. It was Tom Helm. It was the other giant.
Yeah.
So just the single. 204 for 6. 3 runs needed. Lewis Goldsworthy on strike. The pride of Cornwall. 4 runs, 3 runs needed for Somerset. Murtagh bowls. Goldsworthy defends. Well, assuming that Somerset do indeed score these last 3 runs, and it's almost inconceivable that they shouldn't, it's another terrific comeback victory for them, and they will take 21 points. 3 bowling points, 2 batting points, and 16 points for the win.
I think as well, for Helm, those 2 drop catches in an over when he was waiting for his first wicket of the summer still, his confidence would have gone up with the wicket.
Here's Murtagh then. 3 runs needed. Bowls to Goldsworthy, who won't get a run this time. Yeah, but even with that, Middlesex were in a winning position yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it was the bat. They lost it with the bat again in this game, and Gregory took the game away from them at Lord's, because they'd have felt confident at lunch on that final day, and Gregory came out and took the game away from them, and that can happen. 285 was a huge chase, and Bartlett and Abel did a great job, but Gregory was the man that smashed it home, wasn't he?
3 runs needed. Goldsworthy defends, back up the pitch to Murtagh. End of that over.
So on that one, I can say, look, Middlesex played their part, and after lunch they know they should have done better with the ball, but Gregory played very, very well on that final afternoon at Lord's, because up to that point Middlesex still would have felt, even with the collapse of 56 for 8, got Overton, it's big wicket, wrap it up after lunch. But fair play, Gregory came and did it to them. Here, for me, it was yesterday. It was yesterday. And then last night, Hildreth played a great cameo.
He did.
Which took a big chunk out of it.
3 runs needed. Holman bowls to Davis, who's forward, defending into the offside.
And I guess that was a role reversed in this innings, whereas it came at the end for Gregory to see it over the line. Hildreth took a big chunk out of it yesterday evening, of a 200 chase.
Holman then to Davis. 3 runs needed. This is short and cut away, and it's half stopped at backward point. I thought that might just elude Tom Helm there, but he managed to get down on it.
They came into this game, let's see if I can say this quickly enough, feeling that they'd had a bad hour and a half across 2 games this summer, the Somerset game and the Hampshire one.
2 runs needed. Holman bowls to Lewis Goldsworthy, who is forward defending.
But for that, they were happy with the rest of the 8 days in the Hampshire and the Somerset matches. But an hour and a half across 2 games resulted in 2 defeats. Well, now you can throw another half an hour or so or hour onto that hour and a half.
Holman to Goldsworthy. 2 runs needed. It's a full toss. Plays it away through the offside, and that is the winning hit. Lewis Goldsworthy takes 4 through the covers to take Somerset on to 208 for 6. They've won by 4 wickets, and what a revelation this young man from Cornwall, Lewis Goldsworthy, has been. He finishes with 41 not out, a partnership of 84 with Stephen Davis. It's Somerset's 3rd win in this county championship season. 3 wins out of 4. They're challenging towards the top of Group B. A terrific win here today, and a great day for Lewis Goldsworthy and Somerset.
And now you have a mouth-watering trip next week to the Aegeus. I'll be watching with a keen eye on how that one goes. That's a really, really big fixture now for the group, and Middlesex will face Hampshire after that. And you know, again, everything we've just gone through, your winning commentary there of Goldsworthy. You know, you've got a young lad who's come in and hit 41 against Finn and Helm, who haven't done a lot wrong. I think that's the point that I'd really like to make. I don't, Finn did a lot right in his first 3 overs. Then it looked as though he was asked to go to a tactic of York him, and he didn't go for runs from the Yorkers, but then he had to put in the bumper, having put in that many full deliveries because he was sat on the front foot to him, and he was pulled for 4. And in a low chase, that alongside there were a couple of boundaries off Anderson at the other end at that time, weren't there? And all of a sudden, those 12 runs had quickly brought it down again into the 30s, I think, at that point. And young Goldsworthy, that's magnificent, absolutely magnificent.
Yeah. Partnership of 86.
Well,
with Stephen Davis, just 20 years old, from Cornwall, in his very first class appearance.
And I think the fact of it as well is it was chanceless. He didn't put a foot wrong.
No.
He didn't put a foot wrong.
So composed, and such a good technique. And that hook shot that he hit off Stephen Finn, that sounded like the crack of a rifle bullet and went to the boundary like a rifle bullet. For me, the shot of the match. And if there were to be a man of the match, well, it would have to be Craig Overton, I think, for the way he bowled yesterday. But unquestionably, the debut, the rising star of this match is Lewis Goldsworthy from Cornwall. The players are all shaking hands out there. Nice to see. Sporting
and 39 in the first innings as well.
Yeah.
He played his part in the first innings very much. Abel across the match just outscored him, I think. Yes, he did. But the highest run scorer of the match was a Middlesex batsman in White. But it was with the bat that Middlesex lost it, and that's what Middlesex have to try and solve. Poor old Stephen Eskenazi lost his place for the last 2 matches, which, he got a 50 in that game at the start of the season against Somerset. And again, I go back to the 2 hours he batted for his 22 in the first innings. Middlesex are trying to work out. Hanscom is part of the solution. They hope to come in. But I said, ahead of him arriving, he was tuned in. He was watching on the screens in quarantine. I said, look, one man's not going to solve it. Bringing in Hanscom, and he's not going to solve it quickly because he's just arrived. Chris Rogers had been here for years and came in and helped Middlesex. Voges was a veteran of county cricket when he helped them in 2016. So and Compton came back as well, didn't he, at that point to help them. But Middlesex have lost it again with the bat in that third innings.
Well, as of this moment, Somerset are top of Group B in the County Championship with 60 points from their 4 games, with Hampshire on 59 from their 4 games. That's Gloucestershire, assuming that they might win against Leicestershire. It's not out of the question, and in which case they would certainly go top, and in fact with a draw they will also go above Somerset. So Somerset, at the end of this series of matches, the 4th series of matches in this new form of County Championship, will be second in the table, and they'll be going down to the Ageas Bowl on Thursday to play third in the table.
And a Leicestershire win today could put Middlesex bottom.
It could.
Which would be 3 defeats and a victory. But again, you know, Middlesex will look at now 12 days of cricket. Having looked at a bad hour and a half in 8 days of cricket, they'll now look at 12 days of cricket and a bad 2.5 hours. From 44 without loss here in the second innings, from effectively 230 for 2 at Lords, and the Abbas first innings devastation at Hampshire. They've got 3 weeks now, which really will be their season if they want to play any part at the top of this group. So falling to the bottom is not anything to really be read into at the moment. But they've got 2 games at Lords now where they know they have to come back in both of those, and then a London derby before a trip to Leicestershire. So a massive few weeks ahead for Middlesex. They've somehow got to put these collapses to the back of their mind, and not only put them to the back of their mind, get rid of them. Get rid of them quickly, because that's what's costing them dearly, because otherwise they are playing very well. And yes, there's been a lot of discussion about that rotation and Roland Jones and Bamber, but for me, you can't look past Abel being dropped twice in that over in the first innings, and the collapse yesterday, which, as well as Overton bowled, Middlesex should not have collapsed from 44 for no wicket and batting well. And I think you said at the time, it's just getting away from Somerset now, and then all of a sudden Overton came charging in and ripped it away, didn't he? Because it was Holden was starting to look good, wasn't he?
Yeah, Overton and Davey. Well, there we are, 209 for 6. Somerset win by 4 wickets, their second successive comeback victory against Middlesex. They will finish this round of matches second in the Group B table.
So basically, after Middlesex have beaten Gloucestershire and Hampshire and Surrey, I'll see you in August and September, Anthony.
Well, that's very much.
Thanks for the company. It's been lovely.
Hope so. Well, terrific game of cricket, terrific debut for Lewis Goldsworthy, and a match-winning performance with the ball and bat from Craig Overton means a win for Somerset, 21 points by 4 wickets. From myself, Anthony Gibson, on behalf of BBC Radio Somerset, from Kevin Hand on behalf of BBC Radio London, we'll say goodbye from the county ground, the Cooper Associates county ground at Taunton, and hope that you can join us at our respective matches in the next round of County Championship games starting on Thursday.